There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Okay, here we are, back again for episode 132, going back into the true crime.
Ted Bundy.
We're talking about Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy, King of Kings.
Really?
Well, this dude here, man, we're going to get into this. Everybody should know this name. All right? Most people know the victims. They kind of know the generalized story. But maybe they haven't read the books that actually told you what he was doing behind the scenes. Shit that came out later.
He's a fucked up shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's this weird common misconception or misperception, maybe, that this guy is some kind of gentleman bandit, that he just goes up, rapes women, maybe just chokes them, and then they die. And then he moves on to the next one, that he's kind of like a high echelon, high profile killer where he just goes after these pretty girls with these long hair. And, he did kill the cream of the crop, really. You know what I mean? But they don't tell you that this dude also had sex with heads and that he was a necrophile and did all, he was bad. Dude was bad, he was scum.
Yeah.
Scum.
And this is another thing where I feel like people that are perceived as good looking or decent looking can get away with more shit.
Yeah. Because
here's the thing. Now, I had Ted Bundy on the list for a while because, like I said, we're eventually going to get around to doing all the serial killers. So I had planned to do this like in a month or two, but then the Netflix series, the Ted Bundy tapes, came out, and I got a couple messages going, hey, why don't you guys do Ted Bundy? So I was like, okay, well, I'll push it up in the list and you will do it sooner than I was going to do it. So, we're trying to cash in a little bit, I guess, but not really. Because I was going to do it anyways, but then the Netflix series came out. Now, we did watch the Netflix series, which was really good, but the weird thing about it is that
this showed him in a good light, actually.
It did kind of.
Yeah.
That kind of weirded me out.
Yeah. And they showed what that judge said about it. You'd have made a good lawyer. I don't have anything against you, boy. Yeah. I'm like, man, if you knew I'm not sure the judge knew the details of the forensic details of the case.
Because he's like, oh, it's all good, bro.
Yeah, I'm just like,
bitches.
Dude, yeah, just bitches.
Whatever.
You gotta kill
Just
a bitch.
women.
Gotta kill a bitch every
Sometimes you just gotta kill them and cut their heads off. And
I don't know what
heads.
what that judge was fucking thinking. I never would have said that shit to him. I'd have been like, you need to rot in hell, dude.
If that bitch was ugly,
yeah,
the judge would never have said that. Or if
and
he wasn't
then
white.
they're always going on about how intelligent Ted Bundy is.
He wasn't really.
He wasn't that intelligent. And he was crazy as a fucking loon. He'd be driving down the road and all of a sudden he'd have panic attacks and pull all his clothes off and throw them out the window and then realize that he was driving naked and have to go back and get his clothes.
I hate when that happens.
You're not talking about a criminal mastermind.
No, and the thing about him is that he's one of those dudes, and I think I talked about this a little bit when we were talking about the Moores murders of Brady and Hindley, and I was talking about Ian Brady. Ian Brady and Ted Bundy seem to have very similar personality types, whereas like you're a dude that's like a little bit more intelligent than average. Yeah. But you think you're way more intelligent than you actually are. Because people that are actually intelligent, they realize that there's so much shit that they don't know. So in a way, it's kind of more humbling. Yeah. People that are just a little bit intelligent, they think they're smarter than everybody else on Earth. And I feel like Ted Bundy had some of that shit going on.
I've always said, here on the show, that serial killers are graded on a curve. They're graded on a bell curve. So, yeah, Bundy, you'd probably put him ahead of a lot of the other ones because he did complete some aspects of law school. He could carry himself to a certain extent in society during a conversation.
Yeah.
But not really. He was mostly just pretty much a thin veneer. He wasn't as smart as he claimed to be or thought he was.
Yeah.
He wasn't as well versed at being a lawyer. I mean, he was a D student. You're not talking an A student. He was a D student.
And he actually admitted when he went into law school, and I mean, he only got in, like his admissions test, he got shitty scores on them. Mm-hmm. He only got in because of, he knew some kind of powerful people that gave him recommendations. He got in there and he even admitted that in his first year law school classes that he found the classes quote unquote incomprehensible. Mm-hmm. He had like no idea and he didn't, And he said the other students seemed to understand shit or they seemed to have some intellectual capacity that I didn't have. So he was like smart enough to realize that he wasn't as smart as he thought.
But he was smart enough to fake it.
Yeah.
He was smart enough to fake it. And he could kind of talk the talk. He really couldn't walk the walk, but he could kind of talk the talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you ever study, you know, lawyers and look at legal systems, you know, they vary state to state in the United States. Law isn't all it's cracked up to be either. You know what I mean? Those guys are bullshit artists. You know what I mean? Lawyers are bullshit artists.
That's kind of part of the job.
Yeah, they're a lot
you're
like
constructing a narrative.
They're a lot like D&D role player type guys.
Yeah.
You know, and that mixed with used car salesmen. There's, you know, a doctor has more to him than your average lawyer does. You know, I don't want, you know, there may be lawyers out in the audience. I don't want to piss anybody off. A lawyer is the modern day version of a priest, really, what it is. It's very much like the priest class, you know. Whereas, you know, what the hell, the cat's kicking the camera.
She's just, every single episode, she's like, I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to mess up your angles.
You know, you might, back in the olden days, you might give some money to a priest and he'd say a prayer and give you a blessing, and then you'd build a house in a location. It'd be all right. Nowadays, you got to go to a lawyer and pay him, and they argue for you, and then, you know, get you some zoning laws restructured, and then your house appears. They're like a magician. Really, they're a magician. That's what they are.
You go to them and pay them, and they, like I said, they construct this
elaborate narrative on paper and says, yes, you can build that house there
of your innocence or guilt.
Thank you, cha-ching. You know, it's the same fucking shit. You know, really.
But yeah, so the thing about it, and like I said, I liked the Ted Bundy tapes. Like, I've seen a lot of documentaries about Ted Bundy because there's like a million. But the Ted Bundy tapes was really, you know, I guess they wanted to focus on, you know, the interviews with him, you know, while he was on death row that were done. So a lot of it was in his own voice, but it did seem like the victims were kind of just like not really mentioned all that much. Like, they were, but they just kind of like skated over the shit. And, you know, they kind of said a lot of stuff about, like you said, they almost like tried to like build him up like he was this big, like he was so charming and he was so handsome and he was so smart and he was this, that, and the other thing.
No, he was just better than you would expect.
And I just thought that was really weird. But like, I mean,
dude was a pedophile too. He killed fucking young girls as
even though 12, he would never 13. Admit it.
He never admitted to that, but he was killing underage girls too.
Yeah,
he was scumbag.
He never admitted
He's
that.
Scumbag.
Shit. But yeah, and the thing about Ted Bundy too is that there's really no way of knowing. I mean, he's credited generally with credited. I hate to use that word, but. You know, he's usually thought to have killed somewhere between 30 and 36 women, but they think it's probably more than that because there are a lot, like he confessed to some whose bodies they never found. There were some crimes that happened that seemed like he probably did them, like in areas where he was living at the time, but he would never admit to them.
Because of the age of the
right. Usually if it was somebody that was like lived close by, or if it was somebody very young, like he would never admit that he had done it. So, and he has like all these different kind of stories too about like which ones he killed and all this other kind of stuff. So you can't take anything he says, seriously. I mean, because he just tells stories. So I think there's that issue. They know that he killed at least 30 and it's probably far, far more than that. You know, and he's just such a fucking, and like I said, the interesting thing about watching the Ted Bundy tapes is that I was interested to watch it because I wanted to see how much insight that he had into his own behavior, like why he did it. He doesn't really seem to have that much.
No.
He came across as very glib and very like superficial, and he talked about everything in the third person like he couldn't take responsibility for it.
Weasley guy. Weasley.
Yeah, that's how he came across to me.
And really, I don't know why this guy gets, you know, the notoriety that he did. In fact, you know, some people said that, you know, that he kind of inspired Hannibal Lecter when they wrote that book, you know, Silence of the Lambs. And I would disagree. I would say now Now I would probably say really more closely to Hannibal Lecter would be the original Night Stalker.
Yeah.
What was his name? They caught him recently.
Joseph D'Angelo.
Joseph D'Angelo. I would. You put me in the same room with Ted Bundy, I'd fuck him up. Okay. D'Angelo in his prime, yeah, I'd be worried about that guy. You know what I mean? He was a cop. He was into direct confrontation. He'd overpower you. You know.
Yeah.
With guns and tactics. You know, surprise ambushes. Not Bundy. Bundy was just a Weasley guy, you know. He would go after some weak girls and talk them into shit and trick them.
Well, he would just go after college girls and be like, "Oh, my leg's broken. Like, please come to my car," and then hit him in the head with a fucking crowbar.
Right.
And then he would put like fucking handcuffs on.
D'Angelo would go after you while you were there with your wife. He'd go after your wife while you were there.
Not that we're saying that's good.
No, I'm just saying that takes a little bit more balls.
Yeah.
You know, that's a more dangerous man, if you ask me. Much more dangerous man.
Well, thankfully he's in prison now.
Yeah.
And Ted Bundy is dead, so.
Even though I'm going to say, D'Angelo, if you're out there listening, you might think you're brave as shit. You shit got caught eventually. You know, you have a little dick. All the victims said
everybody
so.
knows that.
They
now.
all said you had a little dick,
the whole
dude.
world knows you have a
Fuck
little
you,
dick
yeah.
now. So, haha.
Yeah.
And that
Bashing
bitch is
people's
still.
brain.
Last I heard, that bitch is still not talking.
Yeah.
He still will not admit
Fuck
anything.
you, D'Angelo.
But like I said, I feel like that's some like Ted
Yeah.
Bundy shit too. They feel like they want to control everything like to the very end. But
Yeah.
like I said, so that was one thing that bothered me. Like I can say like the Ted Bundy tapes did come across in a sense that Ted Bundy, particularly when he got arrested and he was like representing himself, or he like took over from the lawyers that were assigned to him, it did kind of show that he was way in over his head, and he was just like sabotaging his own case at pretty much every opportunity, just because he wanted to be in control. He wanted to tell everyone else what to do, even if he was fucking up his whole entire
on
case.
this show, we're going to give you the lowdown on Bundy, and we're also going to demystify some shit so you can walk away from this show having an accurate view of who Ted Bundy's sorry ass was.
Yeah.
Now we have to probably have some shout outs. What's been going on in this show?
Okay, not a lot. We're just going to do like some really brief ones. As I said, Faceless Villain Volume 1, the audiobook,
fucking awesome,
has been re-recorded, and it should be, the new recording should be up by the time this show comes out, because this is going up on February 26th.
Yeah, part 1.
Also, check out our last movie retrospective, which was the Clint Eastwood movie, High Plains Drifter.
You've got to mention Unseen Hand. The Unseen Hand edition 2 of the audiobook.
Yeah, I'm re-recording that as well.
It's being recorded right now.
Yeah.
And that's not a very big book in comparison to, say, like, you know, Faces Villain 2.
Which was, like twice
That
as
was
long.
twice as long.
That took forever.
So that, by the time you hear this, we'll have good progress on that. So it's probably only going to be a matter of weeks, maybe. Once you hear this.
So, I'm
that
in
means
the middle of
all
recording
3 of Jenny's new heavy hitter books will all be in really good audio format. They'll all be relaunched. We'll go back and we're going to go. We're going to release. After that, we want to do the fiction.
Yeah, I'm going to record my fiction,
We're gonna
which has
record
never
fiction.
been on audiobooks, so I'm going to do those, and then
we'll redo Math Mountain Poltergeist, and then we'll redo the 2 Steve Mera books.
And then plus, like I said, I also have to work on Faceless Villain 3, because I want that shit out before the end of this year. Like the print and the audiobook.
The 2 Mera books are not very long, though. Hopefully we can get new audio for that.
So this year, like I said, Faceless Volume 3 should be out. The book, the print book, ebook, and audiobook. And everything should be out in audiobook, hopefully. That's what I'm shooting
this year.
For this, by the end of this year.
By the end of this year. So it's a reconsolidation year. We're going to relaunch everything. Yeah.
And then after that, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and after that, she'll have a free hand to do anything. If it's a Faces Villain 4, or if it's something totally new, we're going to come up with something. We're going to come up with something you guys want.
Yeah. Also, like I said, and I say every week, if you want to support the show, you can go to Patreon, our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clock podcast. Also, if you don't like Patreon for whatever reason, you can go to our blog, 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and in the sidebar, there's a little button that says donate with PayPal, and you can click on that, and it'll go right to a PayPal account that goes right to us. Also, I wanted to mention again, I mentioned it on our last show on Mackinac Island, but if you go to thegamecrafter.com and you search for Giallo Games, KLLO. I have some games that I designed on there if you're into that kind of shit. I have one called A Crimson Drop on a Crystal Palette. And it's kind of like a Clue style kind of card game. And that's the main game right there. And I also have an expansion pack. I also have one that is very much like Schmovie, except it's Giallo based. Like you come up with Giallo type movies, like with the cards in here that have like Giallo style words on them. It's called The Cursed Names of Nightmares. And that is for sale also. And I also have this, which is the Gore Galore expansion pack for that, which has kind of more bloody type of words. I also have a game, which is like a board game kind of, and it's like, it's called The Three Sorrows, and it's kind of like a build as you go type of board. So that should be, I ordered a proof copy, which should be coming in a week or two. So by the time this show comes out, it might be up for sale. So go check it out. If you want to check that, it's actually like a really big game with like a really big board and all this other kind of stuff. So check out Giallo Games on the Game Crafter, if you would.
We need to get some of that to Beer and Board Games. Let them.
I
play.
know. I need to send some of those.
Okay, now we've had some positive comments from new subscribers. If you're a new subscriber, please share the show. Help us grow. We're coming up on 6,000 subscribers. The next goal we have is 10,000.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we could do it because the bigger we get, the faster we grow.
Yeah.
So please share the show with others. Give us a good shout outs and stuff. And after you get everything redone with the audiobooks, we need to get you back on tour as a guest on some of these podcasts.
Yeah.
If you guys know of other true crime or paranormal podcasts you'd like Jenny to appear on, please
that do interviews.
That do interviews. Please drop something in the comment box down there, and we'll see if we can contact them. Send Jenny on tour.
Yeah, because
she's an awesome guest. She's been on a lot.
I haven't been on a lot of true crime shows. I've been on a lot of paranormal shows. Like I have a big long list, but since I've just
I would think on the back of Unseen Hand that you could get on a good
Faceless Villain. You mean?
Excuse me, Faceless Villain. You could get on some. I get them so confused, especially when I'm drinking.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm running with KugelCon, and I tell you, he's unveiling himself to me.
Wait, is that your second one?
It's my second one.
Oh shit.
My second one.
He's gonna be incoherent by the end of the show.
That'll be all right.
This is just
I'll
like
keep it under control.
Last week's show on Mackinac Island, it was like 2 hours long because, like I said, what we started doing was we started recording more than one episode at one time.
Yeah.
So we actually recorded a movie retrospective before we did this show.
Yeah.
And he started drinking during that.
Oh yeah. I'll go on tangents and shit.
Oh boy! So this might be another like two.
No, it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna try to keep
show.
it. I'm gonna try to keep it on the subject of Ted
and
old
you,
Theodore.
And you actually, it should be good because
I've read a lot about him.
You've read a lot about Ted Bundy. And you know a lot of so it's not just me with the research and you just being like, what's that about?
Yeah, like what? I know Ted.
I told
Fuck
you.
Ted.
He's like a if you guys have ever like gone to the movies with like old men and I think I've told this story before, but I remember this as though it was yesterday. I went with my friend Jen to see Jurassic Park in the theater, the first one, and that was like 1993 or some shit like that. So we're sitting in the theater watching fucking Jurassic Park. And there's an old couple behind us. They were like 120, I swear to God. They were like fucking the crypt keepers back there. Right? So like this old guy and this old woman.
Yeah.
And this movie is going on. We're enjoying the dinosaurs and whatnot. And then this old man, he had no idea what was going on in this movie. It's like every time a new character, who's this now? What's going on? Who's that? What is this? And then like
what's that?
And then like you remember the part where like the dinosaur like eats they put the goat out and the dinosaur, he goes, it ate the goat. And I turned around like, thank you. We're all watching the same movie that you're watching. And I'm sure his poor wife was just, shh, would you stop?
Jenny saw a video of some old guy that age going down to the supermarket. The little buffet table where they have all the soups and shit. And then he's getting his serving spoons out there and he's tasting them all.
And then putting the spoons back in the fucking...
Putting them back in the soup and shit.
Because you know how the grocery stores like have the bar with the soups and like the shit and like Italian food and whatnot? So like this old fart and somebody like taped it with their phone like, look at this motherfucker. And like they reported it too, thankfully.
Yeah,
but,
right.
You know,
Yeah,
so they could throw all the soup away.
I wonder how
because
common
old man
that
cooties
is.
gross.
God damn.
I don't want to know. Wow.
God damn.
Fucking old people. Maybe he had dementia.
Yeah, dementia's a hell of a drug.
It is.
We have to actually, you know, with the other show that we do, you know, with the our matinee show.
The matinee show.
We have to avoid Tuesdays.
Well, because at
Tuesdays,
AMC theaters, Tuesdays are $5 ticket days.
All the old
now
people
we try to go like in the early afternoon. We usually go to like 12:30, 1 o'clock shows, something like that when we can manage it. But we started doing them on Tuesdays sometimes, and it got to a point where because the tickets were cheap, it was like all full of old people, and they are so.
It's another generation, bro.
Annoying.
It's another generation.
I'm sorry if like old people I'm old too. I'm
coming up at 50. You know,
Yeah.
Jenny's not too far behind me, but there's something about boomers, that boomer generation, when they start getting into their mid 70s, 75, maybe close to 80. God damn.
It might be a thing where
very self-centered. It's all about them.
Well, it might be a thing where one, they're old and they don't give a fuck anymore about anybody else. Two, they might be deaf, so they don't know how loud they're talking. But I do feel like they kind of come in the theater. Like the other day, we're sitting there. I don't remember what was it we were watching. It might have been.
Which one? Well, tell me the story and I'll tell you what movie it was.
Remember there was like a whole row. There was like 5 of them, and they sat like right behind us. And then they had like the loudest food, like they're opening packages. Like,
I forgot what movie.
And then they were talking like at the top of their voices. Like I think it might have been They Will Not Grow Older. I can't remember now.
No,
but
I don't think it was that one.
What maybe was it? Maybe it was Destroyer.
I think it was Destroyer.
It might have been. But yeah, so we get like this, whole pack of old people. What is a group of old people called?
A gaggle?
A denture?
I don't know. I know one thing about it is that it's a big social event to go to the movies. They're going to sit around, they're going to talk to each other before and after the movie. So when you come out of the theater to try to do our reviews, they're going to sit there right in the damn hallways, hanging out. Like teenagers. They'll
just yap all day. I would rather go see a movie with a whole movie theater full of teenagers.
Yeah, the teenagers.
At least they're mostly usually quiet.
Yeah, and they run around.
Old people are not quiet.
But man, the teenagers of today, man, they're pussies. I'll tell you. Remember that one time that fucking gunshots happened in that Aeon Flux, or what was it? What was not Aeon Flux?
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
The fucking stupid one with what's her name, Natalie Portman movie. Remember the old Natalie Portman movie?
Yeah.
The school shooting happened, and half of them ran out, going and they never came back.
Yeah, that was kind of
fun.
But yeah, I would rather go see movies with teenagers because old people.
Venus Lux. Is that what it's called?
No.
What was that called?
I don't remember what it was called.
It was an okay movie. It was
Vox
weird.
Lux.
Vox Lux. That's what it was called.
I liked it, actually.
It was an okay movie. I liked
it. Now,
it.
although I didn't expect that fucking shit either. Like at the beginning of the movie, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the more that went on, the more...
So we're doing that now? Okay.
Yeah.
But so the old people in the movies, you guys, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So let's get back to talking about Ted Bundy before you go off on some other...
You're the one going off.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was just like...
Okay.
All right. So now, here's the thing. Ted Bundy was actually not his name when he was born. He was actually born Theodore Robert Cowell. Now, his mother, when he was born, was in one of those... in the 40s. Back in the old days, when you got knocked up and you weren't married, they would stick you in like an unwed mother's home.
Yeah, it was kind of like a modern version of a convent.
Because of the shame.
Yeah.
So that's where he was born. He was born in this place called the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers.
I wonder what would happen if the dad was black. I wonder what they would do to you back in those days.
Probably kill you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think.
Okay.
I'm sure that happened a lot.
Yeah.
So, they're actually not real sure who his dad was. On his birth certificate, the name was Lloyd Marshall, but actually later on his mom said no, it was this other guy, like a sailor, and his name was Jack Worthington. But they never found anyone with that name, like that had been in the Navy or the Merchant Marine or anything like that. So they don't know how true that is. So they don't actually know who Ted Bundy's dad is. And it actually has been speculated that Ted Bundy's dad might be his mom's dad, like his grandfather.
Okay.
But there's like no solid proof of that, so don't...
So it's rumored that he may have been inbred.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, there's no proof of that, so don't, you know what I mean?
Wonder where that rumor started from.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, like I said, it might have just been some one night
Could be
stand.
bullshit.
Yeah. So, now here's the fucked up thing. For much of his life, Bundy actually believed that his mom was his sister.
Yeah.
Because of the whole shame of, like, unwed mothers, blah, blah, blah. So when she brought baby Bundy home, the grandparents essentially raised him as their own.
Yeah.
And didn't tell him that
his
his sister
was his
Louise
mom.
was actually his mom.
Yeah, and I don't understand what people thought back then. Like, they thought that was going to be good for a kid's mental health.
I don't think they gave much of a shit about kids' mental health back then, clearly.
Yeah,
that's why we had so many serial killers in the 70s.
That's some weird shit back then.
No one was thinking about that.
Yeah, the older generations really were, you know what I mean? They were fucked up.
No one was thinking about that.
They were fucked up. They didn't think right. They're thinking... They were very... The Overton window was very small. The things that were acceptable, you know, the range of acceptability was very small. So normal life got in the way of shit. Fuck them up bad. Weird.
Yeah, like I said, that might be another reason that we talked about it before, like why there were so many fucked up serial killers in the 60s and 70s.
Because they were weird back then.
Because people that got raised back then, their families were messed up.
Yeah.
A little bit. Might have been.
Yeah, what was normal was kind of weird.
Well, and I should say too, and I think I've mentioned this before on other shows about serial killers, is that, you know, just because you were raised in a fucked up family, because I know a lot of people were, you know, probably many of our listeners were, most people that grew up back then had fucked up families. That doesn't mean that you're going to turn into a serial killer, or you're going to kick puppies or whatever like that. But I think you have to have a predisposition in that direction, and then on top of it, like, you know, the cherry on the shit sundae, you know, you get raised in this thing and it just pushes you over the edge.
Based on my observances, all families are fucked up. It's just
in their own way.
It's just a matter of what degree.
Yeah, degree of fucked up.
And with the nature of the fucked upness.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So yeah, I do definitely think. So I don't think that things can be entirely blamed on genetics, but you know, things can't be entirely blamed on your upbringing either, because a lot of people have fucked up childhoods and turn out just fine. So I think you already have to be geared toward that, and then you have the fucked up childhood, and then that kind of gives you the extra push toward.
Yeah, and being fucked up always has nothing to do with extremes. Extremely religious or extremely anti-religious. You don't want extremes. You want to be somewhere in the middle. That's where the normalcy is, if you ask me. Yeah. No extremists. Yeah. Any kind of extremist background seems to cause conflict in kids.
Yeah. Now, there is actually some controversy, and as I said, you know, you can't take anything Ted Bundy says at face value, because he says different things to different people. So there's no consensus on when he found out that his sister was actually his mom. Well, hi, Pookie.
Yeah,
look at her little head sticking up.
Yeah, Eris. Like, you know, what's anything cool?
What's up, you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's no consensus. Like, you know, one biographer, he told him, yeah, I figured it out. Like, my cousin called me a bastard, and, like, you know, I asked somebody and they told me. You know, he told someone else that, I didn't figure out till I was in college, you know, when he went and looked for his birth certificate or whatever. So there's, you know, I don't know when he found out. Nobody knows when he found out. But this was supposedly...
The book I read said that he found out more or less around high school age.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he knew his sister was his mom. He resented her for it.
Yeah.
He thought she was weak.
Yeah. And there's also some controversy about how he related to his grandparents, who he thought were his parents for a long time. His grandfather, he said that, yeah, I related to him and he was cool and everything like that. But other family members have said, no, he was horrible. He was a bully. He was a puppy kicker. Like I said, you know, he abused animals. You know, he was kind of like a racist. He hated Jews. He hated Catholics. He hated black. He hated everybody pretty much. You know, and beat up his wife and yada, yada. You know, and beat up on, you know, Ted's aunt, Julia, stuff like that. Now,
Archie Bunker.
Yeah, he was like that, except not funny in the least. Yeah. Now, there are also some stories that Ted Bundy showed, like I said, a predisposition for being messed up even when he was a kid, because according to Julia, who was his aunt, she was actually taking a nap in the house one day and woke up and there were knives all around her body, like pointing at her. And then Ted, who was only like 3 at the time, was like standing there looking at her like, hey, you know what I mean? So there were some hints that he might not have been like right even from the beginning. So later on, his mom, this was in 1950, I think Ted was about 4 years old. She changed her last name, and then she went to live in Tacoma, Washington. They had, she had been living, in Vermont, and then to Philadelphia, and then they moved to Tacoma, Washington. At this point in 1951, when Ted was, and she took Ted with her. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, at this point, he didn't know that wasn't his mom, but whatever. He just thought, oh, I'm moving away with my sister. Okay, whatever. So they go to Tacoma. She meets a guy named Johnny Bundy, who worked in a hospital as a cook. She met him at a singles night at a Methodist church, like mixer or whatever.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Johnny Bundy adopted Ted, which is where he got the last name of Ted Bundy, obviously. And later on, like Johnny Bundy and Ted Bundy's mom, Louise, had 4 kids of their own. Now, according to everyone in the family, the stepdad actually did try to like include Ted and stuff. Like he would take him fishing and he would like do fun stuff with him and everything, but Ted was not having it. So, he was very distant. He said that he didn't like him as a person. He thought he was dumb, that he didn't make enough money, like all that kind of stuff. Like later on, he said that kind of shit. So, like I said, how much of this can be believed, I don't know, because a lot of this comes from what Ted Bundy is saying to later biographers.
Sounds true, because
and he told people different things.
It sounds true because everything I remember about Bundy based on my readings is that he was very superficial, very materialistic.
He did seem
very
like that, yeah.
status oriented.
Yeah.
And that's always a sign of insecurity, that
Yeah.
you come from nothing and that you don't have much consideration for yourself as a person. Everything is about the trappings you can put on yourself.
Yeah.
Appearances.
And if you put up a good enough.
Yeah, serial killers are typically very, very much like, all about appearances, just superficial.
Yeah. And
So,
him more than most.
Yeah.
I think his kind of whole thing, like you said, it had to do with insecurity of feeling like never being good enough. And you feel like, oh, well, if I just put on enough trappings of, likability or trappings of, I have a lot of money or I'm successful or something, then people will like me.
It's usually wealth and status.
Yeah.
But a lot
rather
of times,
than just being a likable person.
But a lot of times it's fake wealth and status.
Yeah.
It's not real wealth and status.
Yeah.
They'll buy jewelry and nice clothes, but they don't have a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't own a bunch of cars. They don't have a
Right.
business or anything. Just the superficiality of it.
Yeah.
And, they can't get into Harvard, but maybe they might wear a Harvard ring or something, some stupid shit like that,
Good Lord, I can't
Yeah.
stand those people.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you just work at McDonald's, just work at McDonald's. That's cool. I don't care. But some people think that...
Character before career.
Exactly.
That was the motto of my military school.
If you're a cool person,
Character.
I don't give a shit what you do for a job or how much money you have.
They can take everything from you except your character. They can't take that from you.
Exactly.
Right.
See, that's what I always think. You just be a cool person.
And that's what's real. Not all that other shit.
All the other shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because even the richest person could have
Rich
some
people
horrible...
can buy all that stuff. They can buy status.
What I was going to say is that even the richest person could lose all their money.
Yeah, and then have nothing.
And then have nothing.
Right.
So,
Although a lot of time a person that has good character and fucking, you know what I mean, they just make money kind of automatically as just part of their character. But other ones are just artificially kind of born with it, or they go to the right schools, which is kind of like opening doors for them to make a bunch of money. But it's on them to continue to make money, because just because you graduate from Harvard doesn't guarantee that you won't get fired.
Well,
they
yeah,
get
because a
fired
lot of
too.
people graduated from
Ted
there.
Bundy, I think, graduated from Harvard.
I don't think he did. No.
I think he did. I think he did graduate from Harvard. Not Ted Bundy. I meant, what was his name? The Unabomber. What's his name? What was that guy?
Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski. He graduated from Harvard, and that fucker lived in a shack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and made bombs.
Because he was crazy as shit.
He rationalized it all with what do they call
all do.
He was into the green movement. Everything was about stopping industry. Yeah.
So, like I said, like I was saying before, a lot of the shit about Ted Bundy's upbringing, about his childhood, it comes from his own perceptions, which are not necessarily accurate, because he did tell different people different things. Like, he did tell some biographers, yeah, like, I spent a lot of my childhood, like, digging through trash barrels, like, looking for crime magazines, like, with naked women, like, and, you know, murdered women pictures and shit like that in there. Then later on, he told another biographer, oh, I never do that. I don't know why anybody reads that crap, blah, blah, blah. You know, so there was that whole thing. And he also said that when he was a teenager, he would like to like drink a lot and like go canvass the neighborhood and like peep in people's windows and stuff like that. I don't know if he actually did that, but he did tell one biographer that he did that. Again, in high school, he seemed to say that he was kind of like a loner, but that he chose to be that way. Like, he felt like distant from other people. He said that I didn't understand like why people wanted to be friends with other people, or why, or like how that happened. Like, he seemed kind of not to understand interpersonal relationships. So,
I think he was a high functioning psychopath.
Yeah, he really did seem like that. And some one biographer or somebody that I was reading said that, or she was a psychiatrist rather, and she said, you know, I always tell my students that I don't think true psychopaths really exist, or they're very rare. But she's like, if they did exist, Ted Bundy would be one. Yeah. So he definitely gives a lot of that.
I think almost everyone has come across a pathological liar.
Which he definitely seems to have that shit.
And you know what I mean? I've come across one during high school. One of our buddies was a pathological liar. Now, eventually, we couldn't hang out with him anymore. The motherfucker wouldn't stop lying. You know what I mean? But once you come across a pathological liar, every time I come across one, they had that same feel to their personality. It's that same character type. It's almost like something genetic.
Yeah.
You recognize it. Like if a person has blue eyes, you see it.
Yeah.
If a person is a pathological liar, you see it. There's a certain aspects to the way they talk and everything. Their mannerisms seem to be the same. A serial killer has that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that there's something about them that's kind of like a pathological liar.
Well, it seems like there's nothing, like you said, their character is deficient. There's nothing like inside. Yeah. There's no bedrock on which their morality is based. So everything is superficial. Everything is geared toward manipulating other people's perceptions of them.
Yeah, once you see it a couple times, you're able to recognize it.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see it, go look at videos of Charles Ning and Leonard Lake.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's videos of them talking, and they were serial killers, both of them.
We did a show about them.
We did a show about them. That's the way they all feel. They feel fake. It feels like you watch them, they're actually committing crimes or getting ready to commit crimes. And they seem like they're role-playing or like bad acting for like a really low-budget movie. It doesn't seem real because they're not real.
Yeah, because like I said, they don't seem to have anything underlying that.
Like a really bad cosplayer.
Or like a cyborg, kind of. Or someone that's like an AI program.
Right.
And they're just trying to go through the motions.
And once you've seen a couple of them, you'll never forget it, and you can recognize it in other people. I've seen it a couple times.
So it should be noted that even though Ted Bundy recalls his own high school experience as being, oh, I was a loner by my own choice because I didn't know how people made friends, I didn't know how it worked, and blah, blah, blah. When some of his classmates from the time were interviewed, they said that he was a pretty well-liked, popular dude. Like, not the most popular, but not unpopular either. Like, you know, he seemed
They knew of him.
Yeah, like he seemed pretty well-liked and normal. He was also kind of big into skiing. That was kind of his big athletic thing. I think that was pretty much the only thing he did. Although the funny thing was that he got into skiing by stealing ski equipment.
Yeah.
Now, he was also arrested twice when he was in high school, just for shit like burglary, auto theft. And like I said, we've said this on other serial killer shows too. It does seem like they start with real minor shit like that. It's usually peeping Tom shit, arson, you know, just minor theft. And then kind of progresses later on into serial killing.
He liked real, what they call preppy shit. He liked preppy shit. He even like wanted to be a Republican.
He was a Republican.
Yeah, he ended up becoming a Republican, but when he was in high school,
he worked for Republicans.
He was trying to be as preppy as he could. and conservative and everything. He was into that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was just the appearance of the shit, really.
Well, like I said, that seemed like the most important thing. Like he almost seemed like that was what he thought people wanted from him, maybe, or that was how he was going to fit in. Because that was something that he used kind of to his advantage.
Right.
Like I said, since the Netflix series came out, there was kind of a big, thing where Netflix was like, please stop talking about Ted Bundy. He's like, oh, he's the hottest serial killer and all this other kind of shit. That's fucked up. Which it is. One, he wasn't hot, but he was an okay looking dude. I think that what happened with him was that he was so normal looking and so seemingly normal acting that he was able to, and he knew that about himself.
Yeah.
So that kind of facilitated a lot of the shit that he got into later on, because he knew that, oh, I'm just a bland white bread looking dude.
Yeah, when you back up off of him and look at him, he was a skinny, scraggly weakling, really. He was a weak man. And this was noted even by the police who were interviewing him in prison, that his reputation had kind of was built up.
They do that a lot, and I wish they would stop.
And one of the guys that I wrote that I read, who wrote a book, said when he went to go interview him, that he was impressed with just how weak he was, physically weak and small.
Yeah.
And no, he was not hot. He was not hot.
Well,
he was a little scrawny weakling.
Like I said, he just looks like an average white bread type of dude, which allowed him to get away with a lot of shit because people didn't think that people like that. I think they still kind of, and particularly back then in the 70s, you thought if someone was a fucking serial killer and a necrophile and stuff like that, that they would look like a scumbag. And he doesn't look like a scumbag. He just looks like a bland dude.
He looks like a weasel. He looks like a weasel.
But he doesn't stand out.
No.
Is what I'm saying. He doesn't have horns. He doesn't look like a fucking monster or anything like that. He just looks like a regular frat bro that you'd see, like that you'd kind of push off you in a bar. You know what I mean? He just looks like that. Like relatively harmless.
I don't think so. I think he looked, I think the average frat bro actually was a lot more competent looking than he was.
Competent looking.
Yeah. He was kind of wormy and weaselly in person, really.
So like I said, he did commit some fucking minor crimes when he was in high school, but then, so he graduates high school in 1965, and then he goes to University of Puget Sound for a little while, and then he transfers to the University of Washington to study Chinese. Now, while he's there, he meets this woman. I'm not sure what her real name is. I don't think they've ever given out her real name because she's probably like, hey, I don't want to be known as Ted Bundy's ex-girlfriend in perpetuity. Let's use a pseudonym. She's usually given the pseudonym Stephanie Brooks. So he meets her and they start a romantic involvement. Now, she was kind of everything that he wasn't. She was very intelligent. She was very beautiful. She came from like a really wealthy family, like she was going places. So they went out for a while. Now, Ted Bundy actually only went to college for a little while and then he dropped out. And then started working, he took some minimum wage jobs, like just kind of shitty ass jobs. And then he started volunteering for various Republican politicians, kind of trying to get in over there. But evidently, his girlfriend thought that he lacked ambition. He wasn't going anywhere in his life. Like he was lazy. And she just didn't think anything was going to come of it.
No, she was right.
So, yeah. Which, she called that one.
She just saw
Good
through
call,
it.
girl.
Yeah, she saw through it. Yeah.
So, so she dumped him.
Yeah.
Now, later on, this event is kind of, and I'm not sure, like I said, it's easy to kind of armchair quarterback and like, the next, after all the shit's happened and kind of go back into sort of pivotal developments in the guy's life and say, but this does seem to have made a very large impact on him, like his girlfriend dumping him.
Yeah, it devastated
because
him.
He wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it devastated him.
Because
I read a whole book. The book that I read on there said that this is the pivotal moment in this loser's life.
Yeah.
When this girl dumped him, he was fucked over. All right, he was fucked up. And really, he based his entire victim profile on this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of his later victims did look very much like her, as a lot of his biographers have
He was killing
pointed
this
out.
one in effigy over and over again.
It does seem like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because his personality type was very much of that. Like I said, he was very much into, I want to be accepted by people, so I'm going to put up this veneer of what I think people want. And then when that is rejected by someone with greater social status, which she definitely did have.
Now, it seems to me he gets her back with the express purpose of dumping her in order to punish her.
He did do that. That happened later.
Yeah, that's right.
That happened later.
He tried that was his only way of striking back at her.
Now, some biographers have said, too, that it might have been around this same time that this girl dumped him that he found out about his actual parentage, that his grandparents were actually, like I said, I'm not sure, but some biographers have thought that this might have been when he put it. So those two things like happening in tandem.
The guy I read agreed with that.
Might have been,
around that time, and it put him in a big identity crisis.
Right. Yeah, because not only...
all of a sudden women were just bitches. They lied to you, those whores, they need to be punished, they're bad.
Because I mean that makes sense because not only did the girlfriend dump him, but also he's like, oh, my mother
rejected me, didn't want to claim me, and this and that, and they're just liars, and it's all fake, and these bitches need to be punished. Yeah, that's the mentality that a lot of these guys have.
Yeah, and it definitely does seem that he had that. So after that happened, like he moved around some. He kind of went to Colorado. He went here, there, and the other place. And then he kind of comes back to Washington in 1969. And there he meets Elizabeth Klepfer. Now, they were actually in a relationship for a very long time. And she actually later on kind of tried to report him to police several times. And they didn't listen to her. But yeah, so that is actually her real name. She went under a pseudonym for a long time, but they actually came out and said what her real name was. So then... it seems like after he met her and they kind of got into a relationship, then Bundy decides, okay, I guess maybe sort of superficially, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to get my shit together. And he goes back to college at the University of Washington and he enrolls as a psychology major. Now at this, he's actually very good. He excels at this. Like all his professors love him. He's doing great, blah, blah, blah. And he was an honor student. He got really good grades. So he was good at psychology because I guess he was messed up. So he could like relate. I don't know, but he was good at it anyway. So he started doing that. Like I said, he started getting more into politics and things like that. So he looked like he was getting his life together. He also started volunteering. This is fucked up. This part fucks me up. This fucks me up. He also started volunteering for a suicide hotline crisis center. Where people who were going to kill themselves, like, call in, like, asking for help and, like, asking to be talked out of it. And this motherfucker worked there. Yeah. Now, Anne Rule, who, she had worked for the Seattle Police Department. She also worked there. Later, became a very, very famous crime writer. Probably one of the best known crime writers in the U.S. She knew him, during this time because she worked there as well. And she said she had no idea. Yeah. She's like, he seemed very kind, very empathetic.
I remember this. At this point in his life, though, I really think he was trying to make something out of himself.
He did seem to be, yeah.
But it just wasn't possible with the hand that he was dealt. He couldn't hold that facade together. That's not who he really was. Yeah. He was the kind of guy to take the easy path and to go direct for like direct gratification. Yeah. So he couldn't maintain this for very long. From what I remember, that very quickly he starts committing his first crimes. Yeah. After this.
It actually wasn't long after this. Yeah. And actually, like I said, there's some controversy about when his crime started because some biographers have said that he might have killed a little girl when he was 14, like in 1961, because there was a crime that happened around that time, like a girl went missing. And
that sounds about like right compared to what happened with other offenders. Right. That may be right. He might be in a time where he's trying to leave all that behind him. He's trying to become something, but they just can't hold it together. That's not who they are. It doesn't feel right to them. Yeah. So,
because like you said, it doesn't come naturally.
That's not that's an artificial behavior that they're doing. They have to, like this ain't who I am. I just want to kill a bitch. And that's, that's what they go. And
it's just too hard.
It's too hard.
And the end. And that's probably what happened here. In a way, I feel like he was probably doomed. Yeah. From the start. I'm not saying that as any sympathetic toward him because I'm not.
Bad brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just messed up from the beginning.
Yeah.
So like I said, he's working with the crisis center, and Rule works there. She even wrote a book about him later called The Stranger Beside Me. She said he seemed like a totally normal guy. He was really good at his job and all this other stuff. So he graduates with a degree in psychology in 1972. And then he starts getting back into politics and, working for all these Republican senators and whatnot. Gotten a little bit of hot water when, for one particular campaign, he actually was posing as a student or a journalist or something like that on the opponent's, campaign trail, and actually was like recording everything the guy said and all this.
So he was
kind of shit.
a plant.
Yeah. So, all that kind of stuff. So he did all that kind of shit. And like I said, but a lot of the politicians that he worked for, they thought that he was actually really smart, that he was really going places, that he was going to be successful one day. So when he said, hey, I want to go to law school, they all wrote him, letters of recommendation, even though he did really shitty on the admittance tests.
It's superficial. He's faking it until he's making it. He's just pretending to be like
So they let him in to into law school on these recommendations because, like I said, he did shitty.
Yeah.
But like I said, when he got into law school actually and started taking the classes, they were too hard for him. He couldn't. Yeah. He couldn't do it. He found them he said, I found them incomprehensible.
Yeah. Although you can't associate this quality with just serial killers.
Yeah.
A lot of actual guys who end up being politicians and presidents and senators have this same profile where they're talking the talk, they can't really walk the walk.
Well, yeah.
They come from wealthy families. They act like they're something, and so they kind of become something. They're faking it until they make it.
Yeah.
A lot of them,
Which doesn't always work, because sometimes you get busted.
Yeah. But, if you ever see the movie Vice, with Dick Cheney and, George Bush, and it's not just Republicans, it's the Democrats, too. A lot of your political leaders don't come from much, really.
Well, they
have that kind of fucking sociopath type of...
Yeah, well, being a politician is all about telling people what they want to hear. And, greasing palms and shit like that. You have to be good at that type of hustle. Shit floats, and it floats to the top. Right. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. So if you're good at that kind of superficial, hey, man, blah, 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 and if you're good at, networking and stuff like that, you're going to go,
You're going to go far in politics.
I hate to say because I'm not good at it, but, people that are good at, even if they're not good at anything else, if they're good at bullshitting, then they will probably get pretty far.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, eventually they'll probably get caught out, maybe, but a lot of times they don't.
In the upper echelons, it's a popularity contest. They don't care about too much what you're...
Well, they don't care what you can actually do.
No,
or what your
of course not. They hire people
that
that can do things. That's their servants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
Oh, well, why should I worry about science? I'll just buy some scientists.
Yeah.
Why should I worry about, fucking guys that are educated? I can buy those. You know what I mean? That's how they think,
Yeah, it's like I don't have to know how to do it.
I didn't know how to do that. I'll just buy these other guys that fucking know how to do that shit.
I'll just pay people who know how to do things, and then I don't ever have to learn how to do
anything. That's how the world runs.
So anyway, okay, now at this point, and this is what you were mentioning before. So in 1973, Bundy goes on a trip to California, for one of his little political whatevers, and he gets back together with the ex-girlfriend, Stephanie Brooks. And she, at first, is, super impressed. Wow, you're in law school. You're, doing all this stuff. You look like you're actually going somewhere. You look like you have your shit together. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, totally. So they start going out. He was also dating Elizabeth Klepfer at the time in, the other state, in Washington State. Neither of them knew about each other. So he was keeping that shit going, too. And maybe he might have had a bunch of other shit going on, too, with other women that didn't know about each other. So they think that he might have been leading Stephanie along to get back at her. Because he was basically super affectionate. Oh, we're going to get married, this, that, and the other thing. And then he lets it go on for a while. And then suddenly... He calls her, or he just ghosts her, pretty much. And she calls him, she's like, what the fuck, brah? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Stephanie.
We see, what happened was that he was pussy whipped. You know what I mean? She kicked him to the curb, he was pussy whipped, and he was embarrassed about it. All right, and he felt, so he tried to rebuild himself into, you know what I mean, into what he considered to be her ideal man.
Yeah.
So he could get her back, all right? And instead of being pussy whipped, he was going to whip the pussy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck you, I don't want you.
Yeah.
That's what he tried to do.
That seems like exactly what he did.
Right.
And she kind of figured that out later. She's like, oh, yeah, he probably just was getting revenge on me.
And at a higher level, he said, you know, and not only her, it's all of them.
Yeah.
And so this actually helped him gravitate towards killing these women.
Yeah.
I'm just going to screw them and kill them.
Unless he
I
killed
hate them all.
before, which
Yeah.
maybe he did.
He may have killed that one a long time ago and had like trying to break the habit, and it was still kind of calling him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that may have what caused his facade to fall apart. Nah, this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is too difficult. I'm just going to kill people like I want to kill them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These women are bad, I'm going to kill them. That's
Well,
what
like
thinking.
you said, it's just like somebody that has a particular predisposition
You're right.
toward whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they're trying, and they know it's bad, and they're trying not to do it, but then they're just like, fuck it.
It's like a gay guy trying to live a straight life. He might be able
Don't
to
compare
do it.
gay guys to serial killers.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know, serial killing, all right, and serial murder is a sexual orientation, really, when you look at it. It's kind of like there are gay guys that try to live a straight life. They just can't do it.
It doesn't
You know what I mean?
work
So
out.
it falls apart and they go back to being gay. And that's probably what Bundy was about. His sexual orientation was to be a killer. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah.
a serial killer. He tried to be something better in society, but that's not who he was. He was a serial killer.
Yeah. Now, he did say, like, he did admit later on to a biographer, it's like, I just wanted to prove that I could have married her if I wanted to, that I was good enough. He didn't say that, but that was the implication.
That's the same thing I just told you. He's
yeah,
just wording
that's
it
what
a
I
different
mean.
way.
So he did say it like
Yeah.
that. And like I said, she did seem to figure that out later on. It's like, oh, that's why he pulled that kind of shit. Now, it was around this time.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, well.
He's an asshole.
That, you know, like I said, he started skipping classes at law school. Later, he would drop out. And also at this stage, women in the area started to disappear. So...
That's awful strange, isn't it? That
Yeah.
they start disappearing around the time he dumps her. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and
I'm
like
just telling you.
and like I said, now they don't know because he might have killed some people earlier, but this is kind of when, because his serial killing career is usually put between 1974 and 1978, even though there might have been some earlier. Might have been one as early as 1961 when he was still a teenager, but they can't prove it.
That's typical for them.
Yeah,
Is they kill one when they're young and then they stop.
right.
Or they continue and get caught early. But
Yeah.
usually what they do is they kill one early, stop
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it bothers them. But it keeps calling them back to do it. And then in their 20s or 30s they get caught.
Yeah.
That's so they're probably right. I'm going to have to agree with them.
Because, like I said, now, he later on would told, because like I said, many biographers, many journalists, like, interviewed him, and he would tell them different things. Now, one person, he told that, oh, well, the first time I tried to kidnap a woman was in 1969 in New Jersey, but my first killing wasn't until 1971. Okay? But then he told somebody else that in 1969 he had picked up two women in Atlantic City and killed them, although he didn't name them. He didn't say who they were. And he also said that he murdered somebody in Seattle. He said he murdered in 1972. He also said he murdered somebody in 1973, like a hitchhiker, a girl that was hitchhiking. And like I said, there was the one in 1961, which was an 8-year-old girl named Anne Marie Burr. So they think that he might have been involved in that too, and that might have been
back
because he
then,
was only 14 years old.
So he'd have been 14 and she'd have been
Yeah,
8?
8.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
With the other ones that I know of that killed them when they were about that age, they usually go after a little girl.
Yeah.
And then they deny it. They try to
Yeah.
pretend like they didn't do it. And then they try to forget it.
Yeah.
But then later on in life, they go back to that kind of stuff with
Yeah.
with an older victim. I would think that they're probably right, that he killed that 8-year-old girl when he was a little kid, and then he tried to forget about it.
Yeah.
I think so.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he had killed other people too, like
But
leading up to this particular point.
Could be, but it would also wouldn't surprise me if he's lying about that.
Yeah, that's what.
'Cause
There's no way of knowing.
Those motherfuckers lie.
Because he told different people different things. So there's no way of really sorting it. I mean, he's dead now, and it's like...
Taking what I know of him and the other ones, I would think, based on the other cases, most likely he probably did kill that little 8-year-old girl when he was 12.
Yeah.
And that he probably didn't kill those other ones. Is that, you know what I mean? That it's more along the official timeline of the provable bodies, and you know.
Yeah.
And it was after he dumped that girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it does seem like that was when
That would have been a
kind of
trigger.
Canonical, quote unquote,
The
like
canonical,
rash murders took place.
the canon is probably correct.
Yeah.
I would add that 8-year-old girl.
Yeah. So, like I said, that was when he was 14.
Yeah.
Now, the canonical series of murders, like I said, 1974 to 1978. Now, in 1974, Ted was 27 years old. So, they think that was when this particular series started. Now, in January of 1974, and this was right around the time that he had dumped that girl, he supposedly breaks into the apartment of this girl named Karen Sparks, and she was only 18, and she was a student at the University of Washington. She was a dancer. And he took a metal rod off her bed frame and sexually assaulted her with it, and then, which gave her, like, really bad internal injuries. Now, she survived, although she had permanent physical and mental disabilities.
I would think so.
Yeah. So that, they think, was his first victim of this particular series. Whether or not he killed people before that, they're not entirely sure. The next one...
He left her for dead and she lived?
Yeah.
Why didn't she testify against him?
I don't know, actually. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, so...
Maybe she couldn't ID him. Maybe
that's what I mean. Because that's the thing. Like, he would bust into people's...
Right.
Like, rooms while they were sleeping and shit like that.
Yeah. Because it's been so long since I've read the book about it, I
Yeah.
forgot the canon. But you know, I remember in general.
Yeah.
Things he did, and then what he did during the escapes. You know, after his arrest. And
Right.
everything.
And then, so the next one, the next attack after that happened like less than a month later. It's happened in February 1st, 1974. Again, he breaks into a basement apartment. This time, it was another University of Washington student named Linda Ann Healy. Now, she actually worked on the radio. Like, she would give the ski report like every day. So she had to get up at like 5:30 and go in and give the ski report. And one morning she didn't show up, and they wondered where she was and blah blah blah. So he actually kidnapped her from the house, because when they went to the apartment to find her, they didn't see anything amiss, but then when they pulled back the covers, there was like blood on the mattress and stuff like that. He evidently beat her while she was sleeping, dressed her, and then, you know, kidnapped her, then like took her out of the place.
So he didn't kill her there, he killed her somewhere else.
Yeah, he took her somewhere else and killed her. He did that quite a bit. He would usually take them quite a distance before he...
Did he remember what he did to her?
It was usually the same thing. He would usually sexually assault them, and then he would usually strangle them
and throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he would either bury them, dump them in a river. He liked to. This is horrible, but he liked to leave them like out in the woods and stuff so he could revisit them.
Yeah.
On, because
he was another one. Was kind of like Ridgway. He'd go back.
Yeah, he's like a necrophile.
And yeah, because it was free.
Yeah, like you said. Well, like you said when we talked about the other show
That's
about
some weird ass shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he would like leave them until they were like too rotten. Isn't that horrible?
Too rotten
until they were too rotten to have sex with. But he would go back.
Yeah, and they asked Ridgway. They said, "Why did you do that?" He goes, "It was free."
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's right. That's the same kind of shit. Same kind of shit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he would same kind of thing that he would do here. So at this stage, like I said, you know, the first 6 months of 1974, girls are disappearing. You know, from this area, like one a month. You know what I mean? And they didn't even find some of them until later on. So the next one happens March 12th, and this was Donna Manson. She was 19. She was actually a student at Evergreen State College in Olympia. And she just left her dorm room, like going to a concert or something like that, like in another building on campus, and disappeared. And they didn't find her till later on. Another one disappeared April 17th, a girl named Susan Rancourt. And she was, you know, same kind of thing. She was going from like a meeting and she was going back to her dorm room, also disappeared. Now, interestingly, when the report of her vanishing, like was on the news and stuff like that, 2 other girls who were students at the same college, this was actually Central Washington State College in Ellensburg, and they came forward and said, it's like that same night, like one of them said the same night and one of them said like 3 nights before, they said this guy came up to us and he was wearing a sling on his arm, like his arm was broken. And he said he had like a bunch of books and could we help him carry them to his car? So even like that far back, people were reporting this particular behavior because that was something that he did a lot. Like that's how he would lure people to his car.
Yeah, he was into the ruse.
Yeah, just like it was just like in Silence of the Lambs,
like in Silence of the
where
Lambs.
he had the broken arm or whatever, and he's trying to put the couch in the van.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm like,
what Ted would do is that he would take a tire iron and he'd put it on top of like one of the back tires of his VW Bug, and he'd have a cast on and he with books, and he'd ask some cute girl coming out of college, "Could you carry my books to the car?"
Like, my arm broken.
Yeah, sure. She'd carry his book to the car, and while she was leaning over, putting the books in the back seat of the car, he'd reach over there on top of that tire, and grab the tire iron, and go bam, and knock her in the back of the head, and then just throw her into the
car. And usually put, like I said, he'd usually put handcuffs on them as well. So even if they woke up, they were.
And then he would tell stories that they'd wake up while he was driving, and they would just act like nothing had ever happened because their brains would be so rattled, and they're like, "Where am I?" And then he could tell them any old story, and they just kind of go along with it. Weird.
Well, you wouldn't know, would you? Because that happens and you don't remember.
Yeah, he said he hit one girl in the head and she just went on a whole different conversation about other stuff, and he held a whole conversation with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, about an unrelated thing.
See, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
because like I said, you hit him in the back. They don't know what happened. It's like if you just snuck up behind him.
Yeah.
Last thing you know, you were just helping some poor guy with a broken arm, and then all of a sudden you're in a car and he could tell you anything. You wouldn't know. That's fucked up. But yeah, that's what he would do. Like I said, just like in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
so
shit bad.
Yeah. So the next one disappeared on May 6th. Like I said, one per month. There's disappearing from this area. He's just going all over Washington
through them like
State.
candy.
And he's just like picking them up. It's like doing this kind of shit. So the next one was named Roberta Parks.
Killing whole human beings like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was at Oregon State University.
Just for sexual purposes.
Yeah. Now, she was just, like I said, she was going, like, from her dorm to the next dorm over, like, to her friend's house. They were going to go hang out or something like that, and she never got there. So she also disappeared. Now, at this stage, obviously, investigators in the area are getting concerned because, like, all of these women are vanishing. And they don't really seem to have... Yes, there's a victim profile. They're all good looking. They're generally all college students. Most of them have dark hair parted in the middle.
Long, yeah.
Which there's the thing, like a lot of people have made much of that. Like, oh, that looks like, the girl that broke up with him. Like he was trying to, but that
was a common haircut back then. Though.
That's what I mean. Like a lot of girls had that hair in the 70s, like just straight, because that was very stylish at the time. So I don't know how much stock on a place in that. Yes, Ted Bundy later said, oh, they were just young, attractive people. It's like, other than that, they didn't really have much in common. I just picked them, at random because they happened to be there. He
just wanted them to look good looking, and that was a good looking girl's haircut back then.
So I don't know how much stock we should place in the dark hair parted in the middle, because like I said, a lot of girls had hair like that back then.
Yeah, later on when he got captured, he was making fun of other serial killers when he was trying to help the FBI profile. I mean, talking about how they were bottom feeders, and that he liked to feed from the cream of the crop up top.
Yeah.
Of where all the good looking girls were,
Yeah.
And he would never go after any hookers, that was scumbag stuff, He was something else. He thought a lot of himself.
Yeah,
Man.
Clearly. And that was one thing that really pissed me off about watching the Ted Bundy tapes is that, one, he thought he was super smart and he wasn't. Two, he clearly thought he was the shit.
Thought he was like a real high class aristocrat type guy.
Yeah, it's like, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, but he was driving a VW Bug back in the day when that shit wasn't cool. I'd love to have a VW Bug now.
I would too, actually.
Because that's a cool classic car. I'd kit that bitch out like a speed buggy or something, you know what I mean? But back in those days,
we saw one the other day that looked like Herbie.
It had the big fenders on it, cool back, big old back wheels.
Yeah. What was Herbie's number? I can't remember.
Was it 57 or 54 or something?
Number was. But we saw one the other day that was like that. But yeah, so like I said, all right. So the next disappearance happened on June 1st, and this was Brenda Ball. She was also 22. She was actually in a tavern called the Flame Tavern, and she was in the parking lot of the tavern, And numerous witnesses saw her talking to somebody, like a brown-haired guy with his arm in a sling. So he was pulling that shit again.
Yeah.
And then she also vanished. Now, only 10 days later, a girl named Georgianne Hawkins, who was also another student at the University of Washington, she was actually, this one freaked me out for some reason. These all freaked me out, but this one freaked me out the most. She was going from her boyfriend's dorm back to her sorority house. It was an alley. It was like not very long. It was super brightly lit, everything like that. She disappeared somewhere in between there. So they look for her. They can't find anything. Now, same thing. When her disappearance, made the news, then some people came forward, like witnesses came forward and said that this time the guy had brown hair. This time he had his leg in a cast and was like walking on crutches and was trying to carry like a suitcase or a briefcase. So that's how he was getting him this time. And another woman also came forward and said, yeah, this guy came up to me and said, hey, can you put this suitcase in my car or whatever? So he's basically, like I said, so there's the thing again about the victim profile, because he had obviously approached other women who were like, nah, you know what I mean? And told him to go away. So he wasn't like, he was just picking whoever happened by, it seemed like, whoever like fell for his ruse. You know what I mean? As long as they
liked her.
Yeah, as long as they were like good-looking students. Hey, I'm going to go up to that girl.
Let her go.
Well,
that's the way he is.
Or he would just go, like I said, he would just go up to the first good-looking girl that walk by and be a little bit, oh, my poor leg is broken. Can you please help me carry, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Now, while all of this was going on, like this 6 months where all these women disappeared, he was actually working for, and this is fucked up too, and I forgot to mention also earlier that, remember he was working at the suicide hotline?
Yeah.
When he was working there, he also wrote a rape prevention brochure for women. And I'm like,
oh man,
that you can't make that shit up.
Yeah, and one of the things that it said
stay away from me. That was all it said in really big type.
Stay away from all this type of guys. But if you see a guy in a Volkswagen Bug with dark curly hair and a cast, he's cool to go.
He's legit.
He's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to read that shit.
Yeah.
What did that say, Ted? Fucking hell.
Fucking Ted.
But yeah, so during this whole time, all these women were disappearing. He was actually working in the Department of Emergency Services in Olympia, which was helping to look for them. You know what I mean? So he was like right in the middle of the action.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of serial killers have that too. It's like, I want to keep up on like how my crimes are going, how people are reacting to that shit.
Well, they're curious. They're curious to see how close they are to being caught, how much the authorities know. I mean, they'll actually volunteer to search for the bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when they have the, we have to find missing Kaling or some shit like that. Sally's missing. We're going to fucking have everybody to search for him. And that guy will fucking volunteer.
Yeah.
And talk to the cops and everything.
Yep.
And even talk to the news media. Yeah, we're out here trying to find Sally.
Yeah. I've written about a lot of cases where
a lot of that shit's happened.
Like later on, they caught the guy. And
you're like, there he is, right there.
Yeah, it turned out he was on the search party.
Yeah,
he was like
that he was talking to the news and did news interviews, and that's that bitch right there.
Yep.
Actually, Charles Rader.
Yep.
Charles Rader talking to the news, him as a dog catcher, going, "We don't know what's happening around here." Yeah,
motherfucker. We're gonna do a show on him in a couple of weeks. I've got
good old Charlie Rader.
I've got his ass on the schedule
with his fishnet stockings on.
Yeah.
Down in that little hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
kinky motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with fishnet stockings. I've got them.
Yeah, but that's on a man. A man that's killed somebody. He's wearing a little dolly mask on.
And Rocky Horror Picture
Yeah, Show. But he weren't out killing people though. No. Charles Rader.
Not that we know of.
Charles Rader thought he was a bad. Look, I'm just going to say this just now for the audience members. There's been all this, who is the greatest serial killer or who's the most frightening serial killer, and a lot of people would say that it was Ted Bundy, but I'm going to say that no, that shit's got to be changed around. I'd probably say it's D'Angelo. I think D'Angelo would scare me the most. The original Night Stalker. He got away with it for a long time. Law enforcement training. He was a booty commando. He'd come in on you. He'd come in on couples when the men were there. Yeah, I would say that dude was the most direct in terms of confrontation. I mean, he was a booty warrior. Fuck that motherfucker, man. He's bad. Little dick, though.
Yeah. Well, all this, like I said, don't talk about them in like
It's
admiring
brutal.
terms.
No,
It's
it's
like
not more.
That's fucked up.
I would think. Now, I was just thinking in terms of like fear and threat. I would probably say D'Angelo was the biggest threat
Yeah,
overall,
but like I said,
because he was a threat to men too.
he's an old fuck now, though.
Yeah,
So he's not threatening
that
anybody.
bitch. He was an angry old bitch.
Yeah, well, they all
I'll
are.
smack
aren't they?
that bitch in the face.
I'm sure a lot of people would like
Yeah,
to.
I'll
You have to
smack
like
that
get
bitch
in
the
line,
face. Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so around this time, like I said, not only was this motherfucker working like in an agency that was helping out with the fucking searches for all these poor girls that had gone missing, he also met around this time Carol Ann Boone, who later on she was actually one of his biggest advocates. He started dating her, like he was dating 50 bajillion other women at the time too, because that was how he was. But she would actually end up marrying him much later on and being his tireless advocate and blah, blah, blah. Like she thought he was innocent. Well, until he finally confessed, but that's another story. So, all right. Now, I think at this point we will probably take a break because it's probably getting to sort of the middle or whatever. And then when we come back, we will talk more about the murders of Ted Bundy and how he got caught, his escapes, and all that other stuff. So we will be back in just a few minutes.
Okay, everybody. Jenny's got some new shirt designs up. 4 of them. Really good ones, too. Atlanta Ripper, Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm, the H.H. Holmes Murder Castle, and of course, Demon Child, because man said he could. These are updated designs. I think they look really cool. Jenny did a great job on them. Were they fun making, Jenny?
They were very fun. And thank you very much. I think they came out very good.
Yeah, they get really good. They're very high quality shirts. Jenny and I wear our own shirts at certain times when we're trying to put a spotlight on ourselves, and you can put a spotlight on yourselves. If you go ahead and pick up one of these shirts today, you guys are going to love them. Links in the description, www.zazzle.com at 13 o'clock.
Yeah, so go check out our store at www.zazzle.com/13 o'clock. We got these 4 cool new t-shirt designs plus all our old ones if you'd rather get one of the old ones. But these ones are awesome and you should check them out.
They're also available in women's cut, and they look really cute. Jenny's got some.
So thank you. Go check them out.
Daddy's home.
The Faceless Villain, a collection of the eeriest unsolved murders of the 20th century, Volume 2, includes cases spanning the years from 1960 through 1979, featuring such infamous crimes as the triple homicide at Lake Bodom, the family massacre known as the Good Heart Murders, the serial killings of the Zodiac, Bible John, Jack the Stripper, and the Freeway Phantom, the slaughter of dozens of women and girls along the Highway of Tears and the Texas Killing Fields, and the mysterious death of suspected spy, the Isdal woman, along with dozens of other fascinating and horrifying accounts. Buy it now from Amazon in print, Kindle, or audiobook format. Okay, we're back talking about Ted Bundy.
Fuck Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
That dude's a dick.
No one should do that. Well,
Yeah.
especially now that he's dead. But
Yeah,
really,
dude's
he
a
shouldn't
dick.
have done it while he was alive
Yeah.
either. Just
Okay.
saying. Okay, so the next one, the next disappearance that he perpetrated actually happened on July 14th. This is probably his most famous one because it was 2 girls in one day. This happened at Lake Sammamish State Park. It was like a beach there, very popular. There was a lot of people there. It happened in broad daylight. So evidently before he, approached the girls that would become his victims, he had actually approached 5 other women. And he gave his name as Ted. So and his face wasn't covered up or nothing like that. So he comes up to these people and he's wearing a sling on his arm. He says his arm is broken. He's like, hey, can you come help me get this sailboat off of my car? 4 of them said, no, I can't help you. Sorry.
Yeah.
The 5th one actually kind of went with him to his car, but then saw that there wasn't a sailboat on it, took the fuck off.
Right.
However,
Get a sailboat off my car. You go to the car and there's no sailboat.
yeah,
And this guy's supposed to be smart.
that's
Ain't
what I
that
mean.
some
It's
shit?
like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, one other woman, Janice Ott, she was 23 years old. And he came up and asked her, and she was like, okay, fine. And then she disappeared. Now, about 4 hours later, he didn't kidnap them at the same time. It was just the same area. 4 hours later, this 19-year-old woman named Denise Nasland She actually, I don't know if he came up to her and lured her away. She just like, she was there having a picnic like with her boyfriend and some other friends, and she just left to go to the bathroom and didn't come back. So, that's how that happened. Now, so he kidnapped them both the same day. Now, he said later on, like after he was arrested, he said that when he came back with the second girl, Denise, that he forced one of them to watch him rape and kill the other one.
Yeah.
But then later on, he said that he hadn't done that. So I don't know what actually happened there.
That was mentioned in a book that I read, that he was into that, but...
He told, like I said, he told different people different things.
Different things, right.
So
that
I don't
probably
know.
didn't happen, because that would take a lot of force and a lot of intimidation to get that to happen. I mean, you'd have to have him almost literally in a cell to get to do that.
I mean, like I said, he did usually knock them unconscious. Yeah. He did usually restrain them in some fashion. Some of the victims, it looked like they'd been alive for a while, but most of them, I feel like he probably just kidnapped them and then, took them somewhere else and then raped and killed them pretty much immediately.
I was under the impression that he didn't keep them alive for long.
One of them they think was maybe alive for 7 days, but they're not entirely sure. So, I don't know. I feel like most of the time he probably just took them. He would usually take them quite far.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the bodies were found like on a hiking trail that he used to, so he would take them kind of far away where he would do whatever and then dispose of the bodies. So, like I said, since he had approached so many people at this park and so many people had seen him, they actually got a really good description of him. He had given his real name, not his last name, obviously, but he told them that his name was Ted, and he'd been wearing an arm sling. So they got like a pretty good drawing of him, and they kind of, and his car and everything like that. So they put that out on the wire. Now, it should be noted that when this information went public, his girlfriend called the police. Anne Rule,
I know who that motherfucker is.
Rule, who worked with him and later became a crime writer. She worked with him at the suicide hotline. She called the police. Someone who worked with him at the emergency services place called the police. One of the University of Washington professors whose class he was in called the police.
Yeah.
4 people called the police.
Yeah.
And said, hey, that sounds just like a guy we know named Ted Bundy. He has a car just like that. He looks just like that. And all this other kind of shit.
Yeah.
So... Now, okay, I know hindsight's 20/20, blah, blah, blah. Like, the police were getting a lot of tips about this, that, and the other motherfucker every day, so they weren't sure. But I do feel like, he was a law student, he doesn't look like a killer. He doesn't look like, you know what I mean?
They were looking for somebody...
He didn't have a record.
They were looking for somebody more like Richard Ramirez.
Right.
That's who they were looking for.
That's what I mean. So I feel like even though several people reported him... at the time, I feel like they were thought, no, it can't be. It can't be that guy. He looks so normal. He looks so clean. And like I said, I feel like he used that to his advantage.
Right.
Like, he knew that he could blend in and, like, look like that. Now, the 2 girls that he kidnapped from the park were actually found in September. So, like, a few months later, like, a couple of hunters found the skeletal remains. Now, when they came and collected the skeletal remains of those 2 girls, they also found an extra leg bone and, like, another part of a backbone, like, from a 3rd victim.
Yeah.
And at the time, they didn't know who that was. Now, later on... when they got Ted in custody and they made him, like, confess to all this stuff, he said, that was Georgianne Hawkins, like one of his earlier victims. Now, about 6 months after that, there were these students that were kind of out on this particular hiking trail, and they found a bunch of skulls of several of his other victims. Like, I think it was 4 other ones. Yeah, there was like up on Taylor Mountain. Now, a couple of the people that he killed that went missing around this time period have never been found. But most of the skeletal remains were found in this particular area. Now, after this, like I said, this was his Pacific Northwest period. After this, in about August of 1974, he actually got a second acceptance to the University of Utah Law School. And just as before, he started taking law school again, and even though he had taken some of the classes before, he still was like, I have no idea and he still couldn't do it. But he did move to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I don't think that bitch even did homework.
Well,
I don't think he did.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, he wasn't as nearly as smart as he thought he
No.
was. So he moves to Salt Lake City to go to college. Now his girlfriend, Elizabeth Klepper, who, like I said, she had reported him, but obviously didn't tell him that. And she didn't know anything about all the other women that he was dating at the time. She stayed in Seattle. So, so he moved away, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, as soon as he moved to Utah, then women started disappearing and turning up murdered there. September 2nd, according to him, he actually picked up a hitchhiker and raped and strangled her. This was in Idaho. They never found the remains of that victim. And then on October 2nd, which is only a month later, he actually kidnapped a 16-year-old girl called Nancy Wilcox. And that was in a suburb of Salt Lake City. He said later on that he was trying to, when he took this girl, he was just going to rape her and not kill her. Because he was trying to, quote unquote, de-escalate.
Okay, yeah.
Which, yeah, that's fucked up. It's almost like an alcoholic saying, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to work it down. Or like a smoker saying, I'm going to work it down to a pack a day and then half a pack a day.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like he was talking about. So he's going to try and I'm just going to rape her. I'm not going to kill this one. However, he said that she started to scream, and then he put his hands around her to stop her from screaming and ended up killing her anyway. That's
Guarantee you it's a lie.
according to him. Yeah.
lie.
So like I said, everything, like take everything he
it's a
says
lie.
with a grain of salt, because he is a big fat liar.
Yeah.
Now he said where he buried the remains, but so far they have not been able to find them. Okay, so a little more than a month later, or actually a little less than a month later, October 18th, there's a girl named Melissa Smith. She was 17 years old. Now her dad was actually the police chief of another suburb of Salt Lake City called Midvale. She was at a pizza restaurant and she left and then disappeared. About a little more than a week later, they found her naked body in the mountains. This is the one where they think she might have been alive for a week after she disappeared. Like he might have been keeping her alive somewhere, but they're not entirely sure. But usually they can tell, like when, the date of death was and stuff like that.
I wonder where he would have kept her.
I don't know.
Because based on my recollections of my reading, this was a long, long time ago. During this period, he mostly ran around shamming, pretending like he was going to school, not making much money, and going through panic attacks.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have had a place to take her.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, he was living on a shoestring budget, trying to keep up appearances, spending money on clothes he really couldn't afford. I mean, really, there's really nothing to this guy. He's a bum.
Yeah.
Basically. A bum college student kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he would have had the money to take her anywhere.
Like I said, that's why I kind of hate it when they try to make more of him than he actually was. It's like, yeah, he was good at blending in and being slick and like people not suspecting him because he didn't look like a serial killer.
If he kept her alive anywhere, it would have been a situation like where he kept her alive chained to a tree or some real low budget shit like that.
That sounds like some shit he would do.
Yeah. And there
honestly.
was really nothing to this guy.
That sounds like some shit he would do. So on Halloween of that same year, he kidnapped yet another 17-year-old girl who was also leaving a restaurant. Her name was Laura Amy. And same kind of thing. Later on, her naked body was found kind of in a mountainous area. Now, both of these women had been strangled to death with a nylon stocking. They had obviously been raped, then sodomized, and beaten severely. And also at this point, Bundy did confess that these two particular victims, and probably most of his other ones too, as I said, he would return and revisit the bodies. He would also put makeup on them. He would put nail polish on them. He would dress them in particular ways. He said something, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something to the effect of, well, you go to all this trouble, you want to like remember it, or you want them to be the way you want them. You know what I mean? So he would like do their makeup and like nails and dress them the way he wanted them to look.
Sex doll.
Yeah, and then he
Basically.
would go back and rape their corpses.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So
Yeah, and it gets worse than that too later on.
Yeah.
Because he would decapitate them too, just take the heads sometimes.
Yeah.
put that up in the refrigerator. So there was a lot to him that's kind of more like Dahmer too.
Yeah, he had a Dahmer like, and I
Yeah.
feel like that doesn't get across much
No.
because when you're talking about necrophiliac killers, like everybody says, you know, Dahmer and fucking Dennis Nilsson and those kind of, but not many people bring up Bundy, even though he was a necrophile too.
Yeah, I don't think he ate them.
No, he wasn't a
But
cannibal.
He would take
Although he might have
heads
been.
and set them up and have sex to heads and then get in an argument with the head and slap the head. And he was a fucking loon. He was a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, people, a lot of people don't fucking realize that he was a lot worse than people think.
Yeah.
And like some of those girls, the young ones that he didn't want to take credit for, but they really think that he did it. One of them was some girl who was about 13. He took her to like an old slaughterhouse where they used to slaughter pigs. And they found that girl kind of in it with her throat cut on the main slaughterhouse floor in that abandoned slaughterhouse there. And in a position as if he had basically slaughtered her like a pig is basically what it was.
Yeah.
He denied doing it, but pretty much all the law enforcement agents that asked him about it and looked at that case, they're pretty sure he did that shit because there was no other offender in that area at that time.
Yeah.
You know, and if there was another offender, then where are his other bodies?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
was him.
He probably killed a lot.
It was him. Yeah.
Of more people than they know about.
Well, they always noticed that he never took. They noticed that he never took responsibility for any underage girls.
Yeah.
And there were underage girls that were killed by his MO in his area in the time that he was there.
Yeah, like where he was.
And there was no other serial killer captured.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yeah, it's like, who the fuck else would it be?
It was him. He just
That's
did.
And I even wrote about a couple cases, you know, in my Unsolved Murders books that they highly, like strongly suspect was probably Ted Bundy, but they just couldn't prove it. Because it seemed very much like something he would do.
It was him.
And he was in the area at the time. Like there was one in Burlington, Vermont where he was from and like shit like that.
He's just trying to disassociate himself from that aspect of his crime spree.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to look like a man.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, he's a big tough guy somehow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, I don't go after little kids. Yeah, you did, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did, for real.
Yeah, he just tried to keep that shit secret.
Yeah. Even though, like, he admitted to, like, horrible shit. I don't know why he didn't just go whole hog.
Because he didn't want to admit that he went after little girls.
I guess. All right, so the next thing that happened, now this girl actually, she got away. So, and she, if you see, she's on Ted Bundy tape. She's on pretty much all the Ted Bundy, you know, documentaries, like talking about her escape. So she was 18 years old at the time. Her name was Carol DeRanch. This happened on November 8th. And she was at Fashion Place Mall. And Ted comes up to her and says his name is Officer Roseland and that somebody had broken into her car and she had to come with him and see if anything had been stolen, right? So she's like, okay, fair enough. So she goes out there and then she starts to get skeeved out. Because here's one interesting thing that I found about the Ted Bundy tapes is that it was almost all dudes that were talking about how charming and shit he was.
Not women.
It seemed like most of the women on there were like, I thought he was a creep.
Yeah.
Like, you know, dudes don't have a very good creep.
Yeah,
Most
and
dudes
creep
don't have a very
detector.
good creep detector, and most women are pretty good at that. So
What,
a lot of women knew that he was a creep.
Jen and I were on our little path doing our walk, and we were talking about that judge that sentenced him to death and shit.
Yeah.
And I was just outraged of what that judge told
I can't believe
him.
that fucking dude said that.
You know what I mean?
I can't believe that.
And I kind of think it wasn't a dude thing. I think it was a generational thing.
Yeah.
Because that guy, you know, that judge is long dead now. You know, I don't even think he was a baby boomer. He was old. He was too old to be a baby boomer. But there was something about that generation of men. They were very dumb, very dense. You know what I mean? I think they were just kind of very.
Well, they
dense.
could be snowed pretty easily.
Yeah, you could snow them easy
by a slick line.
By slick lies and superficial shit that that they were used to seeing in their cultural milieu. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, because he was saying shit like, "Oh, what a waste," and you
What a
could have
waste.
gone
You could've
another
been a great
direction. You could have been a great
lawyer,
lawyer. Blah blah. Blah.
You're a good dude, and this you've come to this, and
I don't
have
have
anything against
you.
And it's just like we're in the bro clubs, and you were
Like,
almost
he
a
fucks
lawyer.
Severed heads.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, and there's something this judge didn't compute in this judge's fucking head. It made me hearing him say that made me want to just jump up and slap that fucker. I want to slap that judge. Bow. That dude was fucking severed heads.
Yeah.
He's slitting the throats of fucking 13-year-old girls on the fucking slaughterhouse floor, fucking pig slaughterhouses.
Like who?
And you're saying you don't have anything against him? What kind of man are you? What kind of fucking man are you?
Seriously, we watched that and my fucking jaw dropped open when he said that. I'm like, you have got to be fucking kidding me with that.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go back to what I said about lawyers. I don't want to fucking shit on lawyers, but judges are lawyers, and there's something about fucking people that want to get into the law profession. There's just something about them. I don't trust them. Just saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I hear this, well, we're going to have to worry about the rule of law, I immediately start getting very suspicious. Because that means, oh, you're going to listen to those fuckers? The D&D role players, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guys that just wordsmith shit and try to fucking get you to go along with them based on the way they word things in their narrative, And the guys that don't really believe too much in right and wrong, more about how they describe something more than anything else and how it falls inside these books that they collect and that were written by other guys who were just like them fucking 20, 30, 40 years ago, 200 years ago. I'm very skeptical of that shit because it just looks to me so much like the priest class and and religion is what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm going off on a tangent. We're talking about, the law profession to me looks a lot like a religion. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's like the holy books. It's like, you know what I mean? The holy books and the law books,
Okay, so Carol DeRange, like I said, he comes in the mall and he says, somebody broke into your car. I have to take you down to the station. You have to file a report or whatever. So she gets in the car and then he starts driving in a direction which is not toward the police station. So she's like, what the hell? This isn't where the police station is. And then he starts struggling with her and he tries to put the handcuffs on her, but because she's struggling so much, he ends up putting both of them on the same wrist. So she jumps out the fucking car and she gets away. Now, later on that same day, so evidently Ted was pissed off that this girl had escaped. So he decides he's going to go pick up another one. So the same evening, there's a girl named Deborah Kent. She was 17 years old. She was actually a high school student. And she was at a theater, like a play or whatever at the school. And she left early because she had to go pick up her brother from wherever he was. And then she ended up disappearing. Now, later on, the drama teacher at the school and another student came forward and said that Ted, they didn't know who it was at the time, but Ted had come up to them and said, hey, why don't you come out to the parking lot, blah, blah, blah. So they said they saw this same guy. He was pacing around the auditorium. So he's been seen by multiple witnesses. All right. So, and then later on, outside this high school, they found a handcuff key and they later matched it to the handcuffs that were on Carol DeRange. So they know that this is the same guy. Now, after this went public, the shit was happening in Salt Lake City. So then his girlfriend, Elizabeth Klepfer, she calls the cops again and reports Ted Bundy again because she's like, look, he's in Salt Lake City now. He moved there. This is the same shit that's going on. It sounds like him, blah, blah, blah. Please do something about that. But again, they did not. So this is 2 times she's reported him now. 2 times. So then January 12th, this actually happened in Colorado. So he's kind of moving around a little bit. This girl's 23 years old. She was an RN. Her name was Karen Campbell. And this is creepy too. She was at Wildwood Inn, at a resort. And she was walking from the elevator to her room, down the hall, and disappeared at some point in between there. So he got her in between there.
Walked up to her and asked her a question. She started
so.
Talking to her, and then he talked her into doing something.
She's never talked to dudes ever.
Smacked her in the fucking head with something.
Just, seriously, and I do this. You walk anywhere and some dude is like, "Hey, can I just nope. No. I'm not talking to you. I'm not getting close to you. Nothing. I've read too much of this shit. I know how this shit happened." But yeah, so she was actually her naked dead body was found about a month later, not that far from the resort actually. So then March 15th, another girl, Julie Cunningham, she was 26. She was actually a ski instructor, and then she also disappeared on the way to a dinner date with a friend of hers. So this was the same kind of thing where he came up to her, he was wearing crutches, blah, blah, blah. Then he hit her over the head and blah, blah, blah. So he did the same thing with her. He dumped her body and then went later on and revisited it, as they would say. The next one to disappear was Denise Oliverson. She was 25, disappeared near the Utah-Colorado border on April 6th while riding her bicycle to her parents' house. They actually found her bike and her shoes underneath a railroad bridge. Now, here's another one that Bundy never confessed to, but they're pretty sure he did this. May the 6th, Ted Bundy lured 12-year-old Lynette Culver from a junior high school in Pocatello, Idaho. And then apparently he took her to his hotel room that he was staying in where he sexually assaulted her and then threw her body in a river. Although I don't think her body has ever been found, but they did later think that was where she ended up. Probably the Snake River, but they're not really sure. So at this stage, Carol
That's weird how you could throw somebody in a river and they never find them.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's not that weird.
Yeah.
Because rivers lead out to the ocean, and if the body gets swept out into the ocean...
We have this like assumption that everything's just based on TVs and movies and just, the news, that everything is wrapped up.
Yeah.
That every square inch of the country is fucking being, kind of under surveillance. You can't get away with anything. Shit, you can throw somebody in a fucking river.
Well, look at
cities
all the
on
people,
either side, you never find them.
Look at all the people that have disappeared that they never found. There's thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah, I know it rationally, but it kind of shocks me that
you
could be so close to civilization and dump somebody in a river and then never find a person.
Yeah. So okay, so at this point, like I said, him and Elizabeth Klepfer are still together. Like I said, I think she suspected at the time that he was probably the one responsible for all this, but maybe she was wasn't sure. But they actually he went to visit her in Seattle, and then they were kind of talking about getting married, even though at this point, I think she had reported him to police 2 or 3 times at this stage, but of course she didn't tell him that. So the next woman to disappear was Susan Curtis, and she vanished on June 28th from Brigham Young University in Provo. Now this
Mormon girl.
Yeah, well, this was interesting too because Ted Bundy was actually baptized into the Mormon church. Even though he didn't ever turn up to any of the shit.
Right.
He didn't do any Mormon
He did
stuff.
it to get at some girls, probably.
That's what I mean. It all seemed to be part of the facade that was Ted Bundy. He's oh, well, not only am I an upstanding law student Republican, now I'm going to be a Mormon too.
Yeah, Joseph Smith.
So he did get baptized into the LDS church. Like I said, he didn't show up or anything, but he was actually baptized into the church.
Gotta do a show on that one of these days.
Yeah, we
probably
will.
Because it's a Gnostic belief system. It's very occult. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't know about it.
I think it's interesting. Yeah. So now at this stage, I think it finally, because like I said, this is the 70s. They didn't have computers, they didn't have internet, they didn't have any of that shit. Everything had to be done by hand or just over the phone. So it took them a really long time to realize that all of this shit that was happening in the Pacific Northwest was maybe the same dude that was doing all this shit in Utah and some in Colorado. But at this stage, it seems like they kind of realized that this maybe was the same guy because the description of the person and the description of the car was very similar and the MO was very similar. So they kind of started setting everything up. But like I said, they didn't have computers or anything like that, do everything by hand. They pretty much had all these little lists of dudes named Ted, dudes with tan Volkswagens, dudes with this, that, and the other. And they had to cross-reference, you know what I mean? So they had 26 suspects that turned up on all of their cross-reference lists that had all of the things that had been reported. Ted Bundy was on there, and he was on their like best suspects list. But again, it seems like nothing was really done much about it. However, Bundy was arrested for the first time in August of 1975, and he was arrested in Utah. Now, he was actually only arrested at first because the cop like saw him kind of cruising around and thought it was sort of suspicious, and plus they knew that, you know, tan Volkswagen or brown Volkswagen, it was described different ways, and he thought it was suspicious, and when he went to pull him over, Ted, like a dumbass, took off and like tried to get away.
Must have had something in the damn car.
Well, yeah, that's what ended up happening.
Okay,
so finally the officer gets him to pull over, and then he looks into the car and sees that the front passenger seat is not in the car. Like, it's been taken off and it was in the back seat. So they're like, oh, that's a little weird. Yeah. And then when they searched the car again, they found shit like a ski mask, a mask made of pantyhose, like pantyhose with the eyes cut out, handcuffs, crowbar. Yeah. It was pretty much, hey, serial killer murder kit, like right there in the fucking car.
When I was a kid, they had these magazines. They were like true crime magazines. Remember those fucking things?
Yeah, they still got those.
They still got it. And on the cover was always some dude with the damn ski mask with the eyes cut out and all that, and the women screaming in the telephone. Man, and I think serial killers read that shit. You'd see him. They
probably did.
You'd see him in the newsstand.
Like I said, Bundy kind of like told one biographer that he was super into those, but but then later on told another one that's like, I would never read that. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, I don't know. He probably fucking
because you know they'd be next to all the other stuff like guns and ammo, and I'd look at that shit. What was it? True Detective.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. Yeah.
You thumb through it, and it almost looked like cheesecake.
Yeah.
Type, you know what I'm talking about, and bondage.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
It was like almost like a legal way to get bondage past the censors. They're like, no, we're talking about a crime.
Yeah.
So it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's not for sexual gratification.
There were these hot models all tied up and shit looking at the camera. Yeah.
I'm going to get murdered.
Knife coming down.
Yeah. It's that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, he was into that. So they found all this shit in his car. Bundy tries to explain it away like, oh, well, the ski mask is because I ski, and the rest of the shit I found in a dumpster. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a burglar or murderer or anything. But the cop at least had the presence of mind to go, hey, this is a tan Volkswagen. Hey, the person that kidnapped Carol DeRanch, like I said, she got away, described a car very much like this, described a dude that looked very much like this, so let's take this guy in. So also then later they got a warrant to search his apartment, and they found a kind of a guide to the ski resorts in the Colorado area. And like a dumbass, he had put a check mark next to the Wildwood Inn, which is where he kidnapped one of his victims from. He also had a brochure from the high school play where he had kidnapped one of the other victims. So, you know, he's, like I said, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Yeah.
So they kind of were like, okay, well, you're under arrest. So they put him, actually at first they put him under surveillance. And then they questioned his girlfriend, and she told them that after he had moved away, she like found some weird shit in the house. Like, she's like, I don't know why he had like all this plaster of Paris and like crutches and shit like that, because like he didn't break any bones, so that was kind of weird. So she told him that. She said he had a meat cleaver in the house for some reason that he never used for anything, or so he said. And he had like a sack full of women's clothes and stuff like that. So all this kind of stuff. Now, she also said that at one point she had confronted him about a bunch of shit that he stole, because apparently everything that he had in his apartment, like all his expensive shit, he had stolen everything because he didn't have any money. You know what I mean? So she asked him about that, and allegedly he said to her, you know, don't tell anyone or I'll break your fucking neck. So there you go. That's nice. Now, at this stage, the police impounded Ted's Volkswagen Beetle, which he had, previous to this, sold to someone else. But obviously they had record of that, so they went to this other person that he'd sold it to and they impounded it. Now, inside this car, they found hair that matched two of the murder victims and also matched Carol DeRanch, the 18-year-old girl that had got away, that he had tried to kidnap. Now, they didn't have enough evidence at the time to charge him with any murders, although they suspected him in many, and like I said, the Pacific Northwest cops were also thinking that, that he probably did that shit too. But they said, well, we have enough to charge him with the Carol DeRanche aggravated kidnapping, criminal assault, so we're going to charge him with that. So that was the first thing they tried to do. Now, they let him out on bail, and he went back to Seattle and stayed with his girlfriend. Now, he was put on trial for the kidnapping in February of 1976. He actually waived his right to a jury trial. But the trial itself only lasted 4 days. The judge actually found him guilty and sentenced him to 1 to 15 years. So they were going to put him in Utah State Prison. And then later on, they had gathered enough evidence to charge him with one of the murders, that of Karen Campbell. So they were going to put him on trial for that. So they transferred him to Aspen. Now, when they transferred him to Aspen, he had actually wanted to serve as his own attorney, which, if you do that, they actually will not put like leg irons on you, and they will give you access to the law library at the courthouse. And Ted Bundy obviously knew this. So they take him to Pitkin County Courthouse in Aspen for the preliminary hearing. He says, I want to go in the law library and do some research on my case. And then he like kind of scoots behind a bookcase and jumps out a second floor window.
Yeah, you'd never be able to do this under a normal circumstance, but because he had history of taken some law, they let him do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because he could say, hey, I was a law student,
Yeah.
like I want to represent myself, and they're just like, okay, fair enough.
He used it as an opportunity to escape.
So yeah, and like I said,
Yeah.
I'm sure he knew, he wasn't dumb. He wasn't as smart as he thought, but he wasn't stupid. So he did know that's
Right.
how that would go down. So he used that to his advantage. Now, I'm not sure how much of this he planned. I think at this stage, he just wanted to escape because he just jumped out the window. He sprained his ankle when he landed, because like I said, it was a second floor window, and then takes off into the fucking mountains.
Yeah, like Rambo.
Yeah.
In Rambo 1.
Like,
Yeah.
he finds a cabin, like he steals food and clothes and stuff from there. But then he just like kind of wanders around up in the mountain. He gets lost.
Yeah.
He can't find his way back down to town. Blah,
Which
blah,
is
blah.
stupid as shit because he found a cabin.
Yeah.
Had he just stayed in that
Why did he
cabin,
just say they probably never would have caught
probably
him.
never would have caught him.
Like I'm glad he was
Yeah.
dumb and they did catch him. But I'm just saying.
I would have let it blow over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
When they found him, he was weak as fuck. He couldn't make it.
Well, yeah,
out
he'd
there.
like lost all this weight.
He
and
had
shit
no
like
infantry background. He didn't know how to survive out there in that cold weather. No equipment.
So he finally like makes it back down. He steals a car like by the Aspen golf course, and then he had like lost a bunch of weight. He hadn't slept. It's like he was really cold. He didn't, he had a parka that he had stolen from another cabin. But blah, blah, blah.
Reality settled in on him.
Yeah,
Once
I
he
guess
got
so.
out there, he realized oh man, this is nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was on the lam for 6 days, and then they caught him again. So, at this stage, the case against him are building. Like I said, they're trying to, get him for other murders that they suspect him in and all this other kind of shit. So the dumbass, and the thing is that even though he was suspected in a shit ton of crimes, like I said, in several different states, none of the cases against him were like super, super firm. And like some of the researchers and biographers and stuff like that later were like, if he hadn't been just so dead set on doing all these escapes and shit like that, and actually hired a competent lawyer or had a lawyer assigned to him that knew what he was doing, he might have gotten away with shit.
Yeah.
But because he thought he knew better, and he's like, well, I'm going to escape, or I'm going to represent myself. Like, he kind of ended up fucking himself in the ass in the end.
Right.
Because he thought he knew better.
They didn't have a good case on him, really.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they really didn't. I mean, later on they might have, but in these initial stages, it wasn't
Just like
really...
any other serial killer,
Yeah.
he escaped just so he could kill again.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Pretty
He goes
much
out there,
exactly what he
goes
did.
on a crime spree.
Yeah.
And really, they convict him on the shit that he did after he escaped.
Yeah.
Having to do with some bite marks that he left on a girl.
Yeah.
That's really what got him. Them damn bite marks.
So, yeah.
And we're going to talk about them bite marks in a bit. We're going to get to that. Because he's already escaped at this point. So.
Yeah. Well, this is his first escape.
Yeah.
He did
escaped
2 times.
twice.
Yeah. So the second time, like as soon as they got him
Yeah.
back in custody, he's like, I'm going to escape again. And he did.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as he gets back in jail, it took him a
Yeah.
little while, but it's like he actually had like Carol Ann Boone and
He
like some
hollowed
other
out a thing in the ceiling and got out. Yeah.
some other people that he knew like
Yeah.
started smuggling in money for him, and he got like a hacksaw blade and all this other kind of shit. He lost 35 pounds. And
Yeah.
he was pretty much able, it was like the Christmas holiday, like, you know, the prison was short staffed or whatever.
Yeah.
And he knew that the warden or whoever, like, he knew that where his apartment was. He had a map of the prison. He got, like, you know, through underhanded means. And he knew that that guy was going to be out. So he basically lost so much weight that he was able to wriggle up through the ceiling and get out.
Yeah.
And he, like, left books and shit in his bed so it looked like he was still in there. And he crawled
Yeah.
out the fucking ceiling and got away again.
Yeah.
So by the time they discovered, and you know, he wriggled up into the warden's apartment, didn't he? And then just like fucking
Yeah.
walked out the prison.
Walked out. A
Right.
lot of people might ask, well, why, you know, if he could escape, why aren't there more escapes? And really, if you kind of research this, you know, aspect of criminology, you're going to find out that a lot of criminals don't want to escape. You would think, what do you mean they don't want to escape? Especially when they're in the jail phase, when they're awaiting some kind of a trial. Their crimes and the punishment they're going to get really isn't worth running from. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them are only facing a few years. So they'd rather sit there and get credit for time served, go through the court process, and then by the time they get through the courts and they go to the penitentiary, they might only have 12 months left. Okay? And then they do their 12 months, and then they're home free. They're free. They can go out, they can
Well,
get
yeah,
a
because
job.
if you try to escape,
If you're on the skate,
one,
you're going to be running forever.
You're going to get caught or shot.
Yeah.
Or two, you know, if you get caught, then they'll
Yeah.
add more time onto your sentence.
And when
So-
you're running forever. You can't live a normal life.
Yeah, you're always looking over your
So
shoulder.
there's no reason to run from, say, a 5 or a 10 or a 15-year sentence. You're going to be running for the rest of your life. It's better, especially when they're a young man, and most of these guys are young, it's better to do that shit. You know what I mean? Just do it. You know, you do the crime, do the time,
Yeah,
then you get out.
just get it over
Because
with.
then you'll get out. Because you'll spend the rest of your life running, and you'll never be able to have a bank account or buy anything. You can't run from computers. You know?
Especially not nowadays.
Especially not nowadays. So a lot of them don't really want to escape. The biggest flight risks or escape risks are guys that are facing 30 years, 40 years, life sentence, death
Well, yeah,
sentence.
because they feel like they don't have anything to
They
lose.
got nothing to lose.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, if it's just some minor shit.
Yeah.
It's just
And
better to
most of those
just
guys
fucking
that-
take it.
Most of those guys in jail are facing, you know, awaiting trial. They're not facing that much. But, you know, when you're a guy like Bundy, you're facing the needle. Death, or actually the
It
electric
was the
chair.
electric chair.
The
at that
electric
time.
chair.
It's
So,
the needle now, but
so yeah, that's why he
at
ran.
the time it was the electric chair, which
Yeah.
state of Florida, that's where he was executed. We used
Yeah.
to lovingly call Old Sparky.
Yeah. So he's found a weakness in the prison cell and found that he could go up through a little ventilation shaft.
Yeah, so he
If he
gets
cut.
out,
Yeah.
and they didn't even like know where the fuck he gets out, he steals a car, the car breaks down, he hitchhikes, somebody picks him up in and gave him a ride to Vail, Colorado. Then he gets on a bus, he takes a bus to Denver, then gets on a plane and goes to Chicago, and then he like fucking takes a train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then he goes to Florida. Now, in Florida, because like I said, this was the 70s. They didn't have computers and shit like that. You could just go around willy-nilly. He actually rented an apartment in Tallahassee near the Florida State University campus. And he rented it under a fake name, Chris Hagen. Evidently, nobody asked for any ID or anything like that. So he rented a room at a boarding house. And he said... later on he told biographers, he's like, oh well, after my escape to Florida, because I knew that you know, it was Utah, it was Pacific Northwest, if I kept my head down in Florida, they'd never catch me because they would never relate. Like I said, they didn't have computers and everything like that. If he just had a fake name, and he's like, so if I got a legitimate job and just had a normal life, they would never catch me,
What
and
year
I would
was
get
this?
away with it. This was in the
More or less.
1978,
Yeah, in the
1977,
70s, the world would have seemed that way,
That's what I mean. He thought he would
Yeah.
just get away. He would just like disappear.
and he would have disappeared for a while. But as soon as the 90s started rolling around, he would have been caught
Yeah.
because you needed a lot of ID by the time the 90s started to roll around. They're like,
Well, yeah.
what is your ID? You know, what I
Yeah.
mean? You couldn't run.
Well,
forever.
and it seems that he kind of got in trouble with this even in the 1970s because even though he was able to rent a room like in a boarding house under a fake name, and he said, and like I said, take everything he says with a grain of salt because he's a big fat liar, but he said that he was going to try and find a legitimate job. So he went to a construction site and he said that he applied for a job there, but they asked for ID. So he was like, oh, never, I'll go home and get it. And then he never went back.
Yeah.
And then he didn't apparently look for any more jobs after that. And then he just started doing like he did before, like he would steal stuff. Like he would go in fucking stores and it's like if a woman like left her purse in a shopping cart or something, he would just take her wallet.
He went into
and he had like a shit ton of like stolen credit cards.
He went into vampire mode. He just kills you, takes your shit, and then just spends some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or like I said, he just would just go around and like just take people's stuff. When they arrested him, they found like a shit ton. He had like all these stolen credit cards. That's how he lived because he didn't have a job or nothing.
Yeah.
So that's how he got around the country. He just stole people's credit cards.
Nosferatu mode.
Yeah, which like I said, you couldn't get away with that shit nowadays either.
Yeah, and back then you would have been burning the candle at both ends. It would only be a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then this. And like I said, this is the part that that I always remember hearing about it because I was born in Florida, I grew up in Florida, so this was kind of like the end of his reign of terror was kind of like the biggest deal for us because it was close by. So January 15th, 1978, he's only been in Tallahassee for like a fucking week, right? And apparently, like I said, I tried to find a job, I tried to do this and that, I tried to go straight, no, I don't buy it. So he walks into the Chi Omega sorority house.
I still don't understand this. Go ahead.
At Florida State University. Like the back door was apparently the lock was broken or whatever. So I don't know if he knew that ahead of time or whatever, or if he'd been staking the place out. So he just waltzes into this sorority house at 2:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Walks into the room of Margaret Bowman, who was 21 years old. Just started beating her in the head with a big log.
Yeah. That he found out back when he went in.
And then strangled her with a nylon stocking.
Yeah, raping him. Yeah.
He then, I don't know if he raped her, but he did for sure rape the next one. Then he did that. Then he goes into another room.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old girl named Lisa Levy, beat her unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her nipples almost off.
Yeah.
Bit her on the butt.
Yeah.
And then takes like a bottle of like hairspray or something like that and stuck it up her vagina.
Yeah. How many
in a sorority house. There are like other people.
Yeah, and here was the thing I remember from reading about this. He walks in the back, and one of the details that wasn't mentioned in that documentary, and you didn't mention it. Maybe it's not true, but it was in the book that I read. He said hi to somebody in the hallway.
He might have.
Because a guy comes out.
That sounds like some shit he would do.
Because...
Like, hey, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Because the girls were all dating these different guys, and they were coming in and out, and he saw a guy in the hallway and said, hey, what's up, man? And then just went into the other girl's house, and because that was kind of like, there were guys coming and going. Yeah. He just happened to be just one of them.
That's what I mean. No one would have thought anything about it.
And I don't remember how many of them did he actually kill.
Two of them, and then he attacked two more, but they survived.
Okay, so it was 4.
Yeah.
Total. I can't understand how a dude would have the sex drive to get 4, and he didn't take long.
They think that those 4 attacks happened in under 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was some weird shit.
Because
I guess you just got to be in a goddamn frenzy.
It was a frenzy. That's what I was just going to say. That's exactly the word I was going to use.
Right.
That really seems like what this was. He just walks into this place. Like I said, he killed the first 2 women. And then he goes the next bedroom over, beats the shit out of this other girl named Kathy Kleiner. He broke her jaw and cut her shoulders all up. Then there was another woman named Karen Chandler. She also got a broken jaw, concussion. He knocked her teeth out. Crushed her hand. So they didn't see anything. They just woke up and saw, like I said, it was the middle and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So they just woke up and see this dude like above them with a club, and all of a sudden he's like knocking them in the fucking head.
Yeah, so you gotta imagine this is like a cross between bloodlust and sex drive. And I'm just trying to imagine, man. I can't understand how a man could just fucking keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to put myself, just in a regular straight male normal heterosexual type mentality, and let's say if I was single, you know what I mean, and you lined up a bunch of women, I would think by the time the second one came around, I'd be tired. You know what I'm talking about? I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I had enough. You guys go on without me.
Even if you were... Well, how old was he when... Well, he was like under 30.
He's under 30. I think even back... Even in those...
No, I guess not. I guess he was a little bit older.
Yeah.
He was in his early 30s.
You gotta be... I don't know, man. He's unusual.
Well, he's messed up.
And that was before Viagra.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with Viagra. He just wanted to beat the shit out of you. And like I said, these ones, he didn't like rape. The one girl that he did sexually assault, it was with a bottle. Yeah. You know what I mean? The other ones, he just beat the shit out of them.
Okay, so maybe he couldn't.
Although, I mean, he raped most of the other ones.
I thought...
and sodomized them.
Yeah, by memory, I thought he raped them all, basically.
Yeah.
Which, you know... That's fucking almost like superhuman endurance when you think about it from a man's point of view. I'm like, damn, dude.
What's the matter with you?
What's exciting you so much about this situation? You know?
Well, that's what's the matter with them.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. If that was just normal sex, I would think that by the time the second, maybe you might be able to get 2. You know what I'm talking about? Third one, you'd be like, no, I'm good.
You're like, yeah.
I'll get you in a few minutes.
I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. Let me sleep for a bit.
Yeah, so, and not only that, so he attacks these girls in this sorority house, these women in the sorority house, kills 2 of them, horribly wounds 2 more, then he just casually strolls the fuck out with his fucking log or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he goes to another apartment, 8 blocks away from the sorority house, and attacks another girl.
Yeah. See, that was part of the tally that I was thinking, because I remember that night. I was kind of trying to put myself in the dude's shoes, thinking, man, dude, enough is enough. I'm saying, what are you getting out of this? You know, it's sex. You know, they're rapists. That's what these serial killers are. But it's got to be a kind of situation where he's doing this shit at this point out of spite because he knows that his time is short. So
it had to be that.
So he's trying to just increase the body count.
Because this
before he dies.
Yeah, this seems very much like the final paroxysm of violence.
Like they're right on my tail. I only have a few days. I'm gonna knock down
because as much as he later said, "Oh well, I felt like if I moved all the way to Florida, they'd never catch me."
He probably didn't believe that.
As long as I stayed out of the way of the police and kept my head down and shit like that. I feel like, how long did that last? A week, maybe.
Yeah. And
then he just I'm going to attack 5 fucking women in the same fucking night.
Well, all this stuff about I'm going to go to Florida and keep my head down, all right, that's probably just the bullshit shit that he told the cops.
That's what I mean. You can't...
Really what it was is like, I'm going to go to fucking Florida. I'm going to knock down as many of these bitches I can find. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah. And he honestly, as deluded as he was, he probably thought he could do that. And then he's like, then I'll just go to fucking New Hampshire or something like some other place. And I'll just do it again.
Yeah, I'll run.
They'll never catch me.
Go through all 50 states.
He probably did fucking think that.
That's probably what he was thinking.
And he ended up killing or wounding women in 7 states? Was it 7 states or was it 10? I can't even remember. It was some fucking ridiculous.
And then he's going after broke ass college girls, so he can't even steal from them to fucking finance his fucking getting the hell out of there.
Although, like I said, he stole credit cards from other people, though.
So
he was, like I said, he stole them. He would go in a store, or a mall, and if a woman, left a purse, in a shopping cart and, was over there looking at something, he would just take the wallet.
Yeah, well, how long can that last?
I don't know. He had a shit ton of them, and he went all over the fucking place.
Damn.
So. Yeah, so the other girls that was in the apartment 8 blocks over in the sorority house.
That was before every place had a camera in it.
Well, yeah. Like I said, you wouldn't be able to get away with this shit nowadays. You could maybe get away with it for a very, very, very short time, but they would catch you immediately. Yeah. They would have your face.
And they convict you easily because your face would be everywhere on it.
And your fucking DNA would be everywhere. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other woman that he attacked, her name was Cheryl Thomas, and she was also an FSU student. She was a dancer, and he... Again, beat the shit out of her. He's just beating in the head is essentially what he's doing. Broke her jaw, also broke her skull in 5 places. She lived, but she was left permanently deaf, and she couldn't dance anymore because he fucked up her balance. Because he fucked up her ears and her skull.
dealing with a guy that just has nothing but just unbound. He's a psychopath.
He raped her as well.
With just unbounding rage and hatred towards women. Going back to his mom.
Yeah.
His mom and his first girlfriend. Early childhood situations. It's a bunch of problems at once is what he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because one problem alone wouldn't cause a man to do.
Perfect storm.
One
like
problem.
I said.
One problem alone wouldn't cause a man to do this. This is several problems all at the same time.
That's what I said. And like I said, I say this about a lot of serial killers. I don't think anyone's completely born bad, as they say, because I know there's this big nature versus nurture type of thing. Like, what makes a psychopath? What makes a serial killer? I think it has to be a perfect storm of ingredients. Those things have to be present. You have to have, yes, you can have a predisposition for that. But if you're born with it and you grow up in like a normal, loving family, you might be all right.
I'm convinced that there are a lot of psychopaths.
There probably are.
I've known lots of them. But most of them, I think, are just high-functioning psychopaths.
Yeah.
They don't ever commit any crimes.
Yeah.
They're just people that they actually kind of... They get involved in business and they do certain things and they rise to a certain level and they fuck over other people and it doesn't last long and then they fall back to where they... Some of them are a little bit better and they can go up and they can achieve high things.
Yeah.
They fuck over other people and they become what they would call great men. You know what I mean? It's just, that's...
Well, like I said, I think that several factors have to be present.
Yeah,
you have to have you have to have a predisposition, you have to have a particular upbringing, and probably you have to have some other fucked up shit happen to you in your life for you to go to that extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very rare. I don't think psychopathy is that rare, but, sadly. But I do think there has to be a bunch of other factors going on before they start becoming the serial
like
killer type of thing. Because...
Yeah, being a psychopath is just, or a sociopath, that's just one thing that is wrong with them. They got other shit too.
Like, people may not want to hang out with you if you are born like that, but you're probably
mean you're not killing people.
Yeah, you might be a douche, but you're probably not a serial killer. So, okay, so after this fucking horror show, so then he steals a van from FSU, and then he goes to Jacksonville. Now, the first person he approaches is a 14-year-old girl named Leslie Parmenter. Now, he said to her, I'm from the fire department. My name is Richard Burton.
Richard Burton?
Yeah. I was like, well, she wouldn't know who that was. She was 14. And so, you need to come with me or whatever. Now, her older brother then showed up and was like, what the fuck? And then he took off. But then... he goes back to, he turns around, he drives 60 miles. He goes to Lake City, Florida.
With her in the car?
No.
Oh.
She got away.
Okay.
But she reported later that this dude had come up, and then her brother was like, fuck off, man. What are you talking to my little sister for?
Okay.
So, good on you, big brother.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So then he goes to Lake City. He goes to Lake City Junior High School, and he he's going to junior high schools and trying to pick up little girls. So it's back to what I was telling you. He did kill all those little girls. Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
So then he goes, and then there's a 12-year-old girl named Kimberly Leach. Now, she had gone to, I think she went to PE, but then her teacher was like, oh, you forgot your purse in the homeroom. So she was going back to get it, and she disappeared at that, in between. So they didn't actually... So Ted Bundy got her from 12-year-old. She was 12 years old.
Yeah.
So they didn't find her until almost 2 months later. They found her partially mummified remains in a pig shed.
That's what I was telling you about.
Near Swanee River State Park,
which
was 35 miles away.
He denied that one, but he did that shit.
He did that shit. Yeah. Of course he did. Well, and like I said, the fact that he had approached another 14-year-old girl, several miles away in the same kind of way. Like,
he didn't want to admit to that shit that he liked him young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, February 12th, he's been living in this boarding house, but he was running out of money. He couldn't pay his rent. He started to feel like, the police were on to him. So he starts driving. Trying to get the fuck out of there. So he's driving across the panhandle. Then he's actually stopped at right at the Alabama state line by the Pensacola police because that they saw, they checked his Volkswagen Beetle that he was driving and they saw that it was stolen. So they arrested him for auto theft. Now, when they were arresting him, Bundy tried to escape again by kicking the cop's legs out from under him and then running. But, fortunately, the cop tackled his ass and arrested his stupid motherfucking face. Right.
This stupid motherfucking face?
Yeah.
Okay.
He also, like, kind of fired a warning shot or whatever.
Yeah.
So then
Good
they
on you, cop.
so they search his car. David Lee was his name. So they search his car. They find 3 different IDs from 3 different female FSU students, 21 stolen credit cards, and a stolen TV. So yeah, they also found like some clothing and sunglasses that that little girl Leslie Parmenter, that she had said that's what that Richard Burton fire department was wearing, those pants and stuff like that. Now the interesting thing was when the cop arrested him, he was only arresting him for the stolen car and for that other shit. He didn't realize that this is like 10 most wanted fugitive FBI, like big fish type of thing. Because he was on the 10 most wanted list at this point. Yeah. He didn't realize. He was just like, okay, well, I arrested him. Now, very famously, when Ted Bundy got arrested for the last time, he said, quote unquote, "I wish you had killed me."
Yeah.
Yeah,
he wanted to go down.
We wish it too. We wish you had been killed at birth.
Yeah, he was trying to go down in a blaze of glory, like a hero.
So they put him on trial in Florida for the Chi Omega murders because blah blah blah. So they kind of had to change the venue a bunch of times because of, obviously everybody knew about the shit. And again, Ted decided that he was going to serve as his own. Like, they assigned him, because he was poor, so they assigned him, like, public defenders. He had, like, 4, right? 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah,
and
they kept firing him.
And they were, like, giving him advice, which I don't think it would have gotten him off. But they actually were going to get him a plea bargain. They said, hey, if you
trying to get him life.
Yeah, well, if you confess to these murders, we will just give you a flat 75 years, and that'll be the end of it. All right. But he would not do that. Like, he was like, no, he fires all his lawyers. He wouldn't listen to them. I'm going to be my own defense. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to, like, fucking question the witnesses and shit like that. And if you see, and the Ted Bundy tapes, they show, like, because this was kind of the first trial that was, like, nationally televised. And if you watch him talking, he's clearly a nutcase.
Yeah. I remember it as a kid, but didn't understand the magnitude of it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, Ted Bundy. Okay, and what is on the other channel?
Yeah.
But I remember this. What I remember mostly later on was his execution. I remember that shit vividly.
I do too. Because, like I said, I live in Florida, so that was like a big deal.
It was all over the TV. They were having barbecues out there. Mm-hmm. It looked like a damn football game.
Yeah, they had like big signs like "Burn Bundy, burn" and all this other kind of stuff. I remember that very vividly. Because, like I said, I'm from Florida. Now, the creepiest thing about this is what he would, and they showed part of this on the Ted Bundy tapes too. Like, what he would do was when he was questioning one of the witnesses, like one of the cops or something, well, can you describe what exactly the victim looked like? Like, he was getting them to describe it, like, in excruciating detail so he could, like, relive it. Yeah. And it was clear that that's what he was doing. All right. It was super creepy, and I don't know why the judge fucking allowed that, because that was obvious that's what he was doing. Yeah, well, how was her arm laying? How was this, that, and the other? Oh, it was so fucking creepy. But yeah, so basically, like I said, they tried to get him to take a plea bargain. They're like, look, just confess to these murders. We'll give you 75 years and we can all go home. But of course he wouldn't do that. So they were trying to get him the death penalty. And because he was a dumb fuck that thought he could defend himself, he end up getting the fucking death penalty, and good riddance.
Yeah, I think he wanted to have the death penalty.
He might, yeah. I mean, the thing about it is...
he couldn't live a life not being able to go out and kill women.
And people that knew him said that the reason that he wouldn't take the plea bargain, because initially he said he would, but then he said, no, I'm not going to do that. They said the reason that maybe he didn't do that is because that meant that he'd have to stand up in front of everybody and say that he was guilty and say that he really did not want to do that. Yeah. Like, he still wanted to maintain the illusion
of his innocence.
Yeah. That he was this good guy and everything like that.
But it was obvious. Yeah. It was obvious that he was guilty. And he had like these... He had a groupie He had a group of groupies.
Yeah.
But one of them actually married him for
Well,
one.
Carol Ann Boone, like I said,
Yeah.
she'd known him for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, he met her like a long time.
Had kids with
He'd
her.
been dating her a long time.
He
and-
snuck his semen into her somehow during a visit.
Well, so they say.
And
I don't know if they did a DNA
And
test,
she
but
had a couple of his kids, evidently.
just one.
One? Okay.
But yeah, that was a whole thing. Like, he found out that apparently in Florida, I don't know if the law is the same now, but apparently if you make a marriage declaration, like in a courtroom, like in front of a judge,
Yeah.
then it's legal.
Yeah.
So when when Carol Ann Boone, who was his biggest supporter pretty much, she used to smuggle like money into him in prison and stuff.
Yeah.
So when she was on the stand and he was questioning her at some point, he asked her to marry him and she said yes. So then he said, okay, well, we're married now. And
Yeah.
evidently that's legal. Now, even though at the time they put him on death row and you weren't allowed to have conjugal visits, but evidently that shit still went on.
You could probably pay a guard off. And
That's kind of what they think happened because they're not entirely sure if that was really his baby or
See,
not.
that,
She
he did
said
it
it
spider
was.
style. He did a package and he put the package in her.
He put it in a turkey
He put it in a
baster.
turkey
He put it in a turkey baster.
The thing
and then
is
she
do
took
you
it
think
home.
that she thought he was innocent?
But the thing about it is, she supported him right up till the point where he finally, like after he got the death penalty, after they put him in prison, they, after he went through all the shit and he knew he wasn't getting out, then he finally came forward and said, yeah, I did this, that, and the other, even though, like I said, he mostly said it in the third person, almost like he couldn't deal with it. Now, after he kind of came forth and said, yeah, I did this and that, then Carol Ann Boone was like, all right, fuck you, man. Like,
Really?
she didn't believe it before.
I don't believe that.
See,
I believe that she thought he did it.
Yeah.
I think she did. I think she knew he was guilty. But when he fessed up to being guilty, she couldn't handle
That's
the public
pretty-
scrutiny. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, because people were like, that's your boyfriend?
Yeah,
Ew.
really, yeah. That's what I think. I think she had a thing for killers.
You know what? I feel bad for that kid, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that kid, went into fucking hiding.
I think
'cause
she knew he was
certainly would.
guilty. She knew he was guilty.
I don't
She
see
was,
how you could not.
Yeah, she was having some kind of fantasy.
His
thing.
other girlfriend knew and reported him to police
Yeah.
3 times, man. She knew what was going on.
Yeah.
She knew he was a fucking weirdo. So he had to go through, so he got convicted of the Chi Omega murders. He was also, went to put on trial in Orlando, where we live, for the trial of Kimberly Leach, the 12-year-old girl that he had taken from the junior high school, and also got another death penalty for that. So, yeah. Like I said, at this point, he finally comes forward and goes, yeah, I did this, that, and the other. Now, like I said, he wouldn't confess to the younger ones. They tried to put together how many victims it was. Generally, it's at least 30. Usually they give an average of 35 to 36. Although Bundy himself has said, oh, we'll add another digit to that, and you've got it. So 136?
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it's that many.
He's lying.
But there's probably a lot more that they don't know about. Like I said, I wrote about some in my book that they suspect that might have been him, but he would never admit to it.
I remember at the time, during the time I was reading the book, and I was starting to consider, well, how many other ones could it have been?
Yeah.
I don't think it could have been that many more. I just don't.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have the money and the time, and there weren't that many missing people from what I remember in his area that fit the victimology. I bet you if there were any more of them, it was in the single digits.
Yeah, and like I said, if you go to, Murderpedia or anything like that's about Ted Bundy, they will give you like a little rundown of ones that they're pretty sure were him because it was very similar MO and it was, at the time when he was known to be in that area or whatever. And it's not that many more.
But 6, 7 maybe?
I suspect that the total, I think it's more than 36, but it's probably between 40 and 50, I'm going to say.
Okay.
But that's a very rough estimate.
Right.
It could very well be more than that. I'm not really sure.
Because if there were more of them that he could have proved, because he actually did it,
yeah,
you would think he would have gone on a confession spree, kind of like, oh, what's his name?
Yeah.
And then bought himself more time on death row.
He tried to do that. When he was going through all the appeals, because like I said, in Florida and probably in other states that still have the death penalty, like I said, back then it was still the electric chair. he was he got several stays of execution because you get a certain amount of appeals because it's the death penalty. They can't they can't undo that shit. So what he would do was he would like tease that he had more victims, or he would tell you where the bodies were, if he would get more time. But the judge, various judges were like, we know what you're doing, just knock it off. And the families of the victims whose bodies had never been found, they said the same thing. They're like, don't let him do that. Right. Just fucking kill his ass.
Because Henry,
we know that our family member is dead. We know that he did it. Yeah. Please just kill him.
Because Henry Lucas made a whole fucking career of confessing to shit that he didn't do. You know what I mean? And so he could go on little trips. Yeah. And I would think that Bundy would have done the same thing if it were possible. Yeah. And if there were any other ones that they didn't know about, it's in the single digits. I don't think he was that prodigious. I don't think he had the physical. I don't think he had the financial prowess. You know what I mean? Yeah. To pay for these hunting trips to do this. Yeah.
He did say something that was kind of. I'm not even sure if he like meant to say it this bluntly, but he did say something later on to one of his biographers that if they were too young or too close to home, like he didn't want to talk about them. So there might have been more, like I said, they think that he killed some that were
maybe some
under 16 or people that lived around him or lived in his neighborhood or something like that. They think not just close in like family, but close in like proximity. You know what I mean? Because he did say something like that. Like that was once he wouldn't like confess.
It's more bullshit that he says.
But like I said, there's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing.
He talked.
And there certainly are like some cases that they think were probably him, but they couldn't prove it. So they did actually fry his ass in Old Sparky, the electric chair, on January 24th, 1989. He was 42 years old. And as I said, I remember very, very vividly. I was 17 at the time. Yeah, I was a junior in high school in 1989. And I remember this being on the news. There was huge parties. It was like a fucking block party outside the fucking prison on the day that he was on the morning that he was executed. There was just people, they were having fucking cookouts. That was like fucking, everybody had fucking signs. Like they were so happy. They were selling like little gold tie pins of electric chairs and shit like that.
It was before I went into the army.
It was kind of fucked up, but
it was before,
you can't blame them.
It was before I went into the army. What year was it? What month was it again?
89, January 89.
January 89, yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember it. And then not long after that, the first Gulf War started to brew. That might have been, 10 months later or something like that. And that's when I joined the Army. Yeah. But I remember seeing it on the news, on CNN. Yeah. Watching those parties outside. That's back when CNN would repeat itself.
Well, remember that? Yeah. Well, because like I said, until the 80s, we didn't have like 24-hour news channels. No. So they had to like kind of repeat all the
same. Sit there and
because you needed like content for all day.
Yeah, and some stories would disappear and new news stories would appear. Yeah. And one of them was just what was going on over there during the execution of...
Yeah, I remember that.
It was a trip.
Now, interestingly, and this is another part of the bullshit of Ted Bundy, is that shortly before his execution, he had a meeting with James Dobson. And if you don't remember who he is, he was that evangelist that sort of like focused on the family, that fucking crazy ass.
Who?
James Dobson. You don't remember that guy?
No, what was it with that
shit? Focus on the family? You don't remember that shit?
No.
Oh, man. Okay.
I tried to ignore that kind of shit back then. What are you talking about?
So he talks to this guy, and I think he's just saying what this dude wants to hear, because this dude was like a big anti-porn crusader and all that other kind of shit.
Oh, back when porn made you kill people?
Yeah, Bundy was trying to blame all of it on porn in an indirect way.
Man, that bitch didn't have any porn in his car. No. And he lived out of his car.
And he's like, basically, he was saying shit like, oh, well, all this like super violent porn, it's like leading other boys to be like Ted Bundy's, and maybe you should knock that off and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, so that was some shit. And like I said, he also told some biographers he was into those, like you said, those true crime
the true
kind of magazines. But then he told other ones, I never said that. I didn't.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So yada yada. He was one of those guys that always seemed like he wanted to like blame someone else. One of the most horrible things he said, and this is a fucking quote directly from him, where he was and he said this to his girlfriend. He said he was talking about victims or like some people, that were like born to be victims, kind of. He says their facial expressions say, "I'm afraid of you." Like he says, I've known people who radiate vulnerability. Their facial expressions say, "I'm afraid of you." These people invite abuse. By expecting to be hurt, do they subtly encourage it?
Weird.
I'm like, are you subtly inviting me to kick you in the taint? Because I'm going to do that.
He's projecting, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So he always seemed like he was one of those dudes. It was always like someone else's fault.
Well, it's their fault.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
Bitches don't like me.
Bitch
so
was scared of me, so I killed her.
So I killed her, blah, blah, blah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So for a second, like I said, there were some, there was a handful of other cases that they think might have been him. We'll just kind of go through those real quick. Like I said, Anne-Marie Burr, who was the 8-year-old that they think that might have been kidnapped and murdered by him when he was 14 years old. There were also these 2 flight attendants, Lisa Wick and Lonnie Trumbull. They were both bludgeoned with a piece of lumber as they slept in their apartment that was in Seattle, and that was in 1966.
He was in that area?
Yeah, and he lived there at the time, and he actually worked at a grocery store like very near where that apartment was. Now one of them died, the other one survived, but she couldn't remember what the guy looked like. There were also 2 other ones, Susan Davis and Elizabeth Perry. These were both 19-year-olds. They were stabbed to death in 1969.
So he was still in high school during when this was
that was in New Jersey.
That's high school years for him? 69?
69. High school and right around the time he was starting college, because he was in Temple University, so he was in college in 1969.
That's him.
So that wasn't that far away.
That's him.
Rita Curran, I wrote about her in my book. She was 24 years old. She was an elementary school teacher and a part-time hotel maid. She was also murdered, again, basement apartment, 1971, Burlington, Vermont, and that was Ted Bundy's hometown, strangled, bludgeoned, and raped.
That's that same MO.
And the motel where she worked at was very near the unwed mother's place where Ted Bundy had been born.
So he saw her.
Yeah.
Well, he was born there, so he wasn't there when she was working at the place, but...
Well, yeah, but he went back there
to
area. Visit. Yeah, so they think that he was in the area at the time. There was another girl named Joyce LePage who was 21. She vanished in July of 1971 from the campus of Washington State University. And then her skeleton was found 9 months later in another part of Washington. There was another girl named Rita Jolly, 17, disappeared from West Lynn, Oregon in June of 1973. Vicki Lynn Holler, 24, disappeared from Eugene, Oregon, August 20th, 1973. Now, Ted Bundy actually confessed to 2 murders in Oregon, but didn't say what their names were. So they think that these 2 are maybe the ones he was talking about. Here's another 14-year-old girl, Catherine Devine, abducted November 25th, 1973. Body found in the Capitol State Forest near Olympia, Washington. Also, Brenda Joy Baker, who was 14, disappeared in a city in Washington in May 1974. Body found a month later. He said that he wouldn't confess to these 2, but they're suspecting that maybe. Although there was DNA in one of the cases that pointed to someone else. There was another woman named Sandra Jean Weaver, 19. She was last seen in Salt Lake City, July 1st, 1974, and discovered the next day dead in Grand Junction, Colorado. Carol Valenzuela, who was 20 years old, last seen hitchhiking near Vancouver, Washington, August 2nd, 1974. Her remains discovered 2 months later in a shallow grave south of Olympia.
Shallow grave?
Yeah.
I don't remember Bundy ever burying anybody.
He would kind of put them out in the woods or maybe put some dirt over. It just, he wanted to come back to them, so,
Okay.
So, there was another woman found with this victim, whose name was Martha Morrison. She was also 17, and she had been taken from Eugene, Oregon in September of 1974. So they think that Bundy had passed through there around that time, so this is also possible. Melanie Cooley, 18, disappeared April 15th, 1975, after leaving her high school in Nederland, Colorado. Found bludgeoned and strangled by road maintenance workers 2 weeks later in Coal Creek Canyon, which was 20 miles away. They actually found gas station receipts that put Bundy in that area on that day. So they're kind of thinking maybe that was him also. Shelley Robertson, who was 24. This happened in Golden, Colorado, July 1975. Her nude decomposed body was found in August inside a mine shaft.
It could be
also gas receipts placed Bundy in this area at the time of the disappearance as well.
It could be that Bundy killed women and forgot about it.
Well, like I said, there comes a point where if he really did kill all these women, I mean, that's a lot of women.
Yeah, you might forget about some
and you can't
of
remember
them.
all
Right.
of them, I would think.
Well, that's a spooky thought when you think about it. I
Yeah.
killed so many of them, I can't remember them all.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I think, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Well, I mean, I know it's
I guess they
fucked
kind of
up.
get used to it. Yeah.
Well, I know it's fucked up, but like, you know, I don't remember a lot of
Yeah.
stuff like from day to day. You
Right.
do shit every day.
Don't remember
with,
how many
you know,
packs of
2-3
cigarettes you
weeks
bought.
later.
You don't
yeah,
remember how many
couple
meals
months
you
later,
bought.
years later,
Right.
you don't remember that shit.
Right.
So even if you're killing people, if you do it enough times,
Get used to it. You might
it'll
forget.
all the victims will just run together.
Right,
Isn't that
yeah.
fucked up? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was that one. Nancy Baird, who was 23, disappeared from a gas station where she was employed in Utah. They actually never found her, so she's still a missing person. There was a girl named Debbie Smith, who was 17, last seen in Salt Lake City in February 1976. Body found near Salt Lake City International Airport in April of 1976.
He said he killed 100 more, but chances are, based on the victimology, the locations, and the ones that the professionals are offering to us, the ones that you're reading right now,
Mm-hmm.
these are probably the other ones he's talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more like 50-ish.
Yeah.
Like around 50, I'm
Total.
gonna say. Yeah. Like I think he killed more people than they think.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like 130.
And I guarantee
I don't think.
I guarantee he forgot a lot of them.
He probably did.
And he's not really quite sure himself.
Because
And
it
he's
seemed like
thinking-
he was just like dicking around, like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to Utah. Hey, I'm going to Washington. Hey, I'm going to
Yeah.
Vermont. And it's like while he was driving from place to place, he might have picked up hitchhikers, raped them, threw them out in the fucking river somewhere, and
Yeah.
forgot about it.
Right.
Because, like, some of the confessions he made, I was like, yeah, I think I picked up 2 hitchhikers and killed them in fucking Colorado, and he didn't know their names or anything.
If you did it once or twice or 3 times or 4 times, you'd never forget about it. But if you did it 50 times, some of them you'd forget about.
That's what I mean. You wouldn't
Yeah.
remember. And especially,
Yeah.
like I said, he's like driving around doing that shit all the time.
Yeah.
That is messed up. All right.
Yeah.
I can't talk about this anymore. I'm getting upset.
Fuck Ted Bundy.
He's dead now. So
He's
that's
old
good.
weasel.
He's been dead a long time. But yeah.
Yeah.
So we've gone on and on like we usually do. But
Wrap it up.
Hopefully you guys found this entertaining. This was actually a really interesting show for me to do. It was, you know, even though a lot of people, Ted Bundy's very famous and like I said, the Netflix series and everything like that. But I kind of wanted to
Yeah.
do our take on it.
Our
'cause
take on it.
We like to do that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys found it interesting and enlightening. And remember, if you like the show, like, share, subscribe on all your social media. If you'd like to financially support the show, it would be much appreciated. You can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast. If you don't like Patreon for whatever reason, you may go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com. And there's a button in the sidebar that says donate via PayPal. So you can give a one-time donation, you give a monthly donation, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
You can buy books.
You can buy books
Audiobooks?
also. I've got all kind of books, all kind of
Yeah.
games, all kind of
Yep.
shit you can buy. We got t-shirts on Zazzle. We got all that shit going on. You guys know. Also check out our last movie review, which was the Clint Eastwood supernatural Western High Plains Drifter.
Fucking
It's
right.
a cool ass movie.
Fucking right.
Let's go check that out if you
I grew
haven't
up with that
already.
one.
Yeah. And until next time, we will see you then. Bye.